What, he's like, is this like Young Frankenstein? Is it? What is this? A Mel Brooks movie? Did you stretch? Have you stretched before the show, Miles? You know, this is a very physical endeavor that we take on,
I
and
do high impact Kegels.
is that what that grunting's about?
Yeah, it is. I can actually I can pick up like a cannonball. We call it a bowling ball.
What you talking about? The one
Ball
that
back,
they
two balls.
The Olympic one that they spin around and they throw. Is that the one you're talking about
Oh, I can do that too as well.
with your
It's
butt
a
cheeks?
yeah. Moving on.
We're on to such a great start, Miles. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I was thinking about it. It's been uh
50 years.
4 weeks since our last one because you know, 2 weeks ago we were busy out in Branson, so it's like that's why I said that's why we kind of have to do some stretching here because you know we're exercising some muscles that we haven't used in a bit, so we gotta. I'm just thinking about your safety, bro. That's all I'm saying.
So you're trying to spot me, bro? Is that what's
Yeah,
going on?
yes, I'm trying to spot you. Don't
You don't want me to pull anything?
exactly.
Will not pull anything.
Don't pull anything, Miles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. By the way, you had
What's up?
some magazine in front of you. What are you rocking? What's
This
going
is
on?
BBW monthly.
Shut
Uh,
up.
it's a Club Life magazine actually that came from Nissan. It's a Nissan Owners Club magazine, straight
Oh,
off the hot presses in Japan. So yeah,
wow.
slick. Talks about the new Z. I think this came out a while back, like maybe a few months back. But of course, I got to get caught up on my readings, and yeah, it's pretty slick. For those that haven't checked it out or don't have access to it, but you can catch this if you're ever in Japan and stop by the Nissan headquarters. I think sometimes you can find these in the lobbies. They're kind of freebies, handouts,
Ah,
if you will. Pretty cool stuff though. But I happen to get a few of these from a friend of a friend, so pretty slick.
nice, 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 man. Well,
Anyways,
yeah,
but we've got a lot to talk about. This is episode number 50.
yeah, dude. Milestone. We gotta get. That's a good number.
What did you get me? Did you get me anything?
uh, no, no. I'm sorry. My
I got you.
presence is my. Is that mine? Oh, you shouldn't have.
That's good. Yeah, well, I
Uh,
should because you
so
didn't obviously get me anything. So yeah,
well, I. You know what? It's been a long day. You know, work since they've been riding me hard. Not, baby. You get your guilt tripping me like this is like some sort of anniversary, right? Yeah. So
well,
it
mm,
was it was the dirty 30s, then the flirty 40s. What do you call the 50s?
freaky 50s.
The freaky 50s. Good
Yeah,
improv. I like that. That's good. We're into episode wise. We are into the freaky 50s. We're gonna get real weird with it.
gonna get real freaky. So we got a lot to cover in this episode, number 50 of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Mike, ding, ding, ding. Tell them what they won.
Let's go forward again. All right, again. On this episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast, Nissan is preparing for their new Ariya to go on a road trip from North Pole to South Pole. It's a big endeavor. We're going to talk about that. Miles, you've got an article, something about a really cool rendering that caught your attention. So I know we'll be talking about that. And later on, we are going to be recapping our awesome road trip and visit to Branson Z Fest. It was a first for both of us. We've got quite a lot to talk about that great show. So we're going to go get into it. Everybody who's with us, thanks for being with us. Stick around and
Hit him with
let's
the
go
panda
ahead and
eyes.
do this.
Hit him with the panda eyes, Mike.
Got it.
Yes, our beautiful music by Sir Panda Eyes, DJ Sir Panda Eyes. So
Yeah.
yes, kudos to a man we'd never met that made our music. So
Believe it
yes,
or not, yeah, we did a lot of. Would you say we did a lot of research
research.
for the
No,
song? I mean, I remember trying. I mean, I was searching for something that kind of matched what we were trying to put down, you know, and
that energy, that vitality.
vitality. Oh yeah,
Uh,
but
Go
yeah,
on.
No, I'm just thinking about the song. I was like, well, maybe
If
I
only
still
we could
like
play
it,
it at the club. That's
right?
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You pop in and lock it. I can see me popping and locking to that. All right, moving on. We do got a lot to cover in episode number 50 here today. We did a lot, man. We were supposed to do. We did so much coming back after Branson. We weren't. We were a little under the weather. Branson pretty much almost killed us. Us and our intern, Mr. Ion Dasgupta, he almost died as well. And then it's been a wild, crazy ride for everything we've done.
Yeah.
You and I were supposed to actually go to the Donut Media Tour that we had gotten tickets to
Yeah.
yesterday, but we just found out it got canceled. We were supposed to
Well,
be there yesterday.
that was the thing. For anybody who follows Donut Media, they have their own podcast and a plethora of just videos all over. If you don't know them, you should definitely should. But yeah,
Plenty.
there was a live show that was just coincidentally was planned to come through our town. We bought tickets about 2 months ago, and then we
Yep.
didn't find out until yesterday that 1 month ago we were just so busy we didn't know. It didn't. I guess it was canceled. The entire tour was canceled. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until yesterday that we were thinking, we were just so pumped, ready to go, and then I guess we were just let
Drop.
down. And
It is
but
what it is. So I don't know. We were planning a crazy back backstage party and all this stuff. We almost got the whole VIP package, and it
yeah,
just whole thing just shut down. I don't know what happened. Something about cocaine and a dead hooker, but I'm like,
Miles,
either
Miles was daydreaming of kidnapping the guys and showing them a night on the town after the show.
we were
Man, we were gonna
we are gonna black mask them, and that's it.
the
Throw 'em in the
18
van.
van and throw them in the van. Yeah.
We're gonna throw in Nerd Force One and just take off. So. But moving along, that didn't happen. So luckily, me and Mike got a good rest for
We
today,
did.
so we were able to kind of get around to putting on this show, and we didn't have to scramble like we normally do. So that's good. So
Had much fun.
before we move on for the night evening, of course, give a thanks to those that joined us. That were able to make it tonight. We
Yes.
got Mr. Drake Camacho jumping in with us tonight. Thank you. Good evening. In South Pacific from Guizom. I don't even know what time it is in Guizom right now, but sure it's a late evening or it's an early
Thank
morning, depending on.
Thanks for being with us. Yeah. Good morning
Thanks for
and
partying
or
with
good
us.
night, whatever the time zone is. Have a good one.
Either way, drink one for us.
Yeah.
Coffee, whatever. Or Mr. Reef Seeley, a good buddy of ours, who also joined us with Branson. Yeah, he's on with us here tonight, and I guess we'll have a few more people kind of trickling in. I think Ion is also going to be with us a little bit later on,
Yes.
maybe if we like him. Enough to get him on with us. So kudos to him. We'll have a few more people jumping in as we go, but let's go ahead and move right
uh,
on to it. Mike, I kind of want to drink. We need to do a
I hear you.
salute.
Let's go ahead and do that again, guys. For those of you with us again, we go ahead and do a kanpai, a salutes. We say that a salute to those in the Nissan family whom we wish good health, and to those that we may have lost along the way, let's go ahead and be reminded of them. We say kanpai, guys. Please join us.
Kanpai.
Woo, kanpai.
Mm. So too bad. Not too
Mm.
bad.
What do you have? Anything in particular? Oh, did you have your? Was that your beer stein? We'll have to get into that. That's your new
We'll talk
one.
about this a little bit later. Yeah,
Okay.
this is my Stein. And for those that don't know, if you see me on the streets, I can be paid off in both sexual favors and beer mugs. Right? That's it. T-shirts. I should say that.
That's it.
T-shirts, stickers, beer mugs,
Yeah.
sexual favors. But
No offer is too low. I'm just saying.
no offers, CeeLo, in any of those categories. Moving
Yes,
on.
yes,
All
yes.
right. So let's go ahead and just jump into news. Mike, I think you got the first article. Some actually pretty cool news about the new Ariya.
Yes. Let's go ahead and get into that. Yes. So let's go ahead and get into the news. Let's go ahead. Where are we at?
I remember my first day. I was so scared. I didn't know what the password was.
Let me see. Here it goes. I'm had some technical
Difficulties.
difficulties. Let's go for this. There we go. All right, let's go for this article that I wanted to share with you, Miles, though, is from Nissan's official news media outlet online. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and it is talking about the Nissan Ariya is planning for an all-electric embark convoy, or I should say road trip, from the North Pole to the South Pole. Now that's quite an endeavor. This is something that hasn't been done before. This is, I mean, just think about that. That's, I think they said here about it's over 16,000 miles to go, starting from the North Pole, traveling through North America, South America, North, Central, South America, and ultimately finding the way into Antarctica in an all-electric vehicle. And I think
Damn. Dude, that's a lot of power, brother. So I don't
it
know.
is.
Let's talk about what's going to happen during that process. Let's talk about what is going to fail. Let's talk about the retail value on that car after it is.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's get into it. So, I think this is a promotional road trip that's happening. The Ariya is Nissan's all new, all electric vehicle. Electric vehicles in general have that stigma where a lot of people are who try to or attempt to make a long road trip. Some people are just concerned about doing it because you have to recharge. You know, recharging stations, are they plentiful? What's the lead time? How long does that take to recharge? And as part of this promotional road trip, they're trying to dispel these concerns so that the general public, the world in this case, can understand that it is possible, and it's just going to get easier as the EV infrastructure and charge stations and are become more and more plentiful. So it sort of is a trailblazing attempt. And I should mention again, this is the first vehicle of any type to take on this challenge, which they're going to begin this March of 2023. So
You know what
springtime.
to this in all the history of vehicles?
That's what they're saying. Yeah, this article here again. If I go to
Maybe
here,
close, I don't know. Let's see here.
I actually was a little hard to believe that as well. But let me see if I can
I
find it
know.
here.
I feel like somebody's done it on a motorcycle, but maybe you're right. Maybe nobody's ever pulled it off in a car.
Well,
That's
I can understand if someone had traveled through the Americas, let's say from somewhere in Canada down to the tip of South America. But Antarctica, I mean, that's a granted. There's some sort of boat involved. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm just.
there's no ice bridge that connects all the. You're telling me that is no longer in existence anymore? The massive ice bridge in
That-
theory.
them-
For those that
I don't know what happened to it. Yeah.
For those that don't know, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, pick up a book. Come on now, check it
Check
out.
out the big brain on bread.
All right. Anyway,
Um.
the ice bridge is no longer there. Yeah, I would have figured
Yeah.
at some point, boom, they got to jump on a boat, slam that sucker on the last part of it, which I think is probably going to be one of the hardest sections. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's crazy. So is it just this one guy rolling solo? What's going on?
So
Has he got
yes.
anybody to do?
So the person who's taking on this adventure, his name is Chris Ramsey. He's from Britain. This isn't his first time that he's actually taken on a challenge like this. He has done something before. I believe it's with the Nissan Leaf. So he did that in 2016. He completed a North Coast 500-mile trip in a Nissan Leaf. This trip will have a specially modified Ariya that will be that's going to take on the various types of terrain that they're going to encounter throughout this entire trip. And the types of terrain that we're talking about, there are glacier landscapes, they said, mountain climbs, desert dunes. I mean, you've got they're going to have a specially set of tires, upgraded wheels, modified suspension to actually be able to take on these types of terrain. So there will be a second unmodified Ariya in convoy with this modified Aria. It
For
is going to
part.
be used as a support vehicle for
Ah,
the
I was gonna say it's
for
gonna be a
Chris.
parts car they'll strip down. But let's
Parts car. Yeah, yeah.
parts car. Let's talk about the most important thing here. So he's no obviously this guy's been doing it for a hot minute. So he's no stranger to peeing in a jug while you're driving. The big thing that we got going on here. So yeah, I mean these long distance drivers, they're another level, trying to make these things. But then again, it's not a timed thing for the most part. It's just more about
Right.
endurance and showing off the vehicle. So
Yes.
I think they can pull it off. How long is this endeavor planned for going?
Well,
Think you
it
have a
said 16,000 miles. They did not mention. I do not recall them actually mentioning number of days, and that brings up a good point. This is not a high speed event. This is not a first to make it, race or competition. This is simply, blazing the trail, just letting people know that it's possible. So I imagine, um, one is that they'll probably take their time. Staying focused. They're not going to just they're not going to stop off for a weekend in New Orleans or nothing like that. You know what I mean? They're gonna keep going. You know,
be a lot cooler if you did.
right?
So
That'd be a lot cooler if you did, right? I'm sure there will be a lot of pictures as they come. Um,
I'm sure
I
it's a
I
event for him. Still sounds pretty cool though, But dude, I'm so I'm. It sounds like fun. I wonder what parts they're gonna go through. So I don't know.
well, I mean, yeah. If they wake up one day and their modified wheels and their custom wheels are on bricks, and then they know they stayed
Whoa,
at the wrong
whoa.
hotel. I'm just
Welcome to Thunderdome, bitch.
So I don't know. I think they'll be fine. I mean, the only problem they had to really have to worry about is I don't know. I mean, every part poses its dangers, I guess, But
You boys like Mexico? Yeah!
well, I think other than going through everything, I think they're going to have a good time. It should be a good PR event. I'm excited to see it. I noticed you put a photo up here. Is this like a rendering?
this
I guess
is
are they calling this pole to pole?
they are, and I was like, is that low
I'm
hanging
not.
fruit for
I'm not
yeah?
going to take it. We're
We're
better
gonna
than that.
we're
It's,
gonna.
it's low
I
hanging
agree.
fruit. You're better. I'm better. We're going to leave it alone.
We're gonna keep our integrity and not talk
We
about the
are
pole
going
to
to.
pole.
Yeah, we're going to take the high road. Moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I do like this rendering though. I mean, of course, this is what they're illustrating as far as the modified suspension, the all terrain wheels.
That is pretty
Um,
cool.
I do like the rendering. I would love to see it. When this thing actually starts to make its trip. I would like to see. Of course, we'll see the actual pictures come around. So, and they did pick spring. That was one thing I wanted to mention. They picked spring. I mean, they didn't say exactly which month of spring, but I'm thinking about like Canada area. Now, I'm pretty sure there's still it's snowing, depending on what month they're at.
Yeah,
They're going to have challenging. Was that?
they're probably trying to travel during the months when the weather is at its most optimum for traveling. So that makes sense. So
I agree. I agree. So I mean, it's obviously strategic, but no matter what, I mean, I'm more curious to see how many stops they have to make and how long each stop will take as far as to recharge this vehicle, and
the
and
amount of
obviously that's what
data,
it's about too, huh?
yeah, the amount of data they're probably going to pull from this thing is probably going to be, eye opening. To show
Huge.
off to show off the vehicle, all the options that it has.
Yeah.
Especially with the suspension system and the that sideways. Oh God, and I sound so the intelligent mobility. I think that's
I'm I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes. There is also a big part of this article is that Nissan is also promoting what they call we've talked about it before, the Nissan E-Force, and this is their most advanced all-wheel drive control technology made to date. It is relatively new, so they are definitely using this road trip as a tool to promote their e-force technology as well. Managing power output and braking performance for smoothness and stability is what they say.
They're going to have a lot of opportunity to dodge some boulders. So let's see. So kudos. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it all rolls out. But yeah, a really good article. So
Cool.
moving on down the line. Before we do that, let's move on. Let's do some crowd work. Kelsey Stephan has joined on with us. Cheers. Cheers as well.
Cheers.
Ion, Kampai. Oh, Kelsey. Yeah, yeah. Mr. Mustachioso. So I had a good time with those guys in Branson. Great guys. Brad Elder, jump on with us here tonight. Cheers as well. That
Thanks for
is our
being with us.
time lapse guru who actually
Yeah.
took a time lapse video of us in Branson. We'll talk a little bit about that later on.
Yep.
And Curtis Davey joining on with us. Kudos as
Hit,
well.
him and his 620. Yep.
Yep. So moving on, let's go on to the next topic that we have here for the night. This is actually something that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit. It wasn't quite news, but Mike, I don't know if you have the article on this one,
I do.
but okay,
You want me
pull it
to
up.
share it? All right.
I
Let's
want
go
you to share it.
for
I want you to share my article. Where'd it go?
This is actually pretty cool, but go ahead. Go for it.
Okay, so this is about the new Nissan Xterra. It actually is not about the new Nissan Xterra. This is just a fan that took it upon themselves to say he loved the Xterra so much, which I can wholeheartedly agree. I think the Xterra is an amazing vehicle. He decided to create his own rendering. This rendering comes from, I guess, what we would call an Xterra superfan who just happened to be a digital car designer, a gentleman by the name of Enoch Gabriel Gonzalez. This article came out of CarBuzz, but it actually showcased his digital car design, and it actually got a lot of, I guess, as it were, hype or a lot of impact on the
Mm-hmm.
internet from just the design factor. I have to say, I was kind of blown away from it being an Xterra homage, if you will, and there is a little bit to me of the late '90s Pathfinder in there too as well.
Yes.
You can kind of see it a little bit in the hood, like we used to see that on the hard body, that 3-slit design, which I still love
That
to this day.
those wheels. That was what I thought as well. It's definitely
And I
homage
thought
for
the
that.
same thing on the wheels. I thought they were great. I mean, this car kind of checked all the boxes for me. Of course, this is a car rendered in space. It's completely digital, but the execution, in my opinion, is just amazing. Like it's just so well done. It follows the traditional lines of the Xterra, which actually has a fan base and should
Oh,
be
huge.
honored in that capacity. It's got really new use of I guess these lights, as it were. I
Mhm.
mean, you know, we're looking at LED technology for some of the fogs, which is kind of tucked away and subtle and sexy, and
Mhm.
I dig it. We're still kind of keeping the roof line, and then the OEM spec trail roof. Little, I guess it would be a roof rack if you were kind of going into that, and then you've got flares that are attached to it too as well. I mean, it's just everything that I would want
It,
in my an Xterra if it was coming out new.
would you call this somewhat of a like another Nissan retro? Obviously, this is not from Nissan, but would you
Yeah.
call it a similar to like I said with Nissan and the new Z having these retro tributes to previous models of the Z? I see a lot of tributes, like you said, to the Xterra and the old Pathfinder as well. I mean, the handles for the rear doors, you've got this
Yes.
little bump.
I love that. Now, give me a butt shot here.
Okay, butt shot. Butt shot.
Boom. All right, butt shot. I mean, we got everything that I would want in a butt shot. You got a window that flips upwards, and you
Yeah.
got a spare tire that's rear mounted as well, and it keeps that cool little Xterra medical kit bulge that kind of sticks out with the badging on the side where it says Xterra.
Yeah.
I mean, the lights are albeit a cool integration, but I mean, they're properly placed in the right location. They're carrying that three vent lines in the front with the brake lines, with the brake lights at the top three. I mean, there's obviously some
Yeah.
changes that would be made if that would ever make it in production. But Nissan, if you're listening, I don't know, man. I just think this is a home run, and I don't think I'm the only one who knows. So just throwing it out there. So
I
something to consider.
I agree. I agree. And Carbuzz did leave a really good comment because the Xterra left the U.S. market in 2015, and it
Correct.
was the Pathfinder, which is primarily front-wheel drive, unless you get the all-wheel drive option, was the vehicle that kind of filled its spot. And I mean, it's 7 years later. I think some of us
It's
would
the
say that it
brother.
wasn't enough. You know.
It was the brother that we wanted more from. Just it was the stepdad that could have done better. You know, it's like, come on.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So they're saying, yeah, the Pathfinder didn't really fit. It didn't really fit the shoe. And then the next available model is the Armada, which is, if you're trying to buy one new, is it's got this
I
pretty
mean,
big price tag. So
I think if you made the Xterra just like this
yeah,
or a streamlined version of it, albeit, I mean, you could make this in an EV model, and I think it would still sell. And then if you put it out in a six, with all the new colors that are kind of coming up in the Nissan line, you put
mhm.
that out in a green, a blue, the traditional Xterra yellow.
Ooh,
I think you'd be fine. Maybe even a Nismo model if you really wanted to get funky with it,
yeah,
or a pole to pole version. Woo. But I mean,
yeah,
moving on. I mean, needless to say, it's rare that I ever take like a digital reference and kind of bring it up for actual news. But I just did think this is so noteworthy. I thought he did a damn good job. But we don't talk about Xteras enough on this program, so I
yeah.
just wanted to give a little shout out, throw out a little pour out for some of my Xterra homies that aren't with us.
Awesome. Hey, by the way, and this is new to me. I'll share it with you. I'm sure you read this too, Miles. But for those who are with us, there was a predecessor to the Xterra, which was the Toronto, but that
Toronto.
was not. It wasn't in the U.S. And actually, reading this article this week, I didn't know that. So the more you know, where's that star? The more you know.
Yeah, and then but in the United States, it was all about the end for us. So
Fatality.
Good
hopefully
use
they
of the sound clip there. Yeah.
I try. All right, moving along. That concludes the big boy news. Now it's all news in 60 seconds from you, Mr. Mike. Well, we always do news in 60 seconds, but it's never news in 60 seconds. Is news in about 120 seconds. But go ahead, move
Yeah,
on.
yeah. We're gonna give it a shot here. All right, let's go ahead and do it again. These are just a few honorable mentions of stories that we've come across within the last week or two. Let's go ahead and give them some love. I'm going to share my screen on this. First one up, the Nissan. Did it add? There we go. All right, first one up. The new Nissan Z and the Ariya are nominated for North American Car and North American Utility Vehicle of the Year here for 2022. This article comes from NorthAmericanCarOfTheYear.org. You can't get any more direct than that. So uh, in total, there are 47 cars, trucks, and utility vehicles that are eligible this year. These are the two that were nominated that are Nissan and/or Infiniti. There were no Infinitis this year, though. The awards. Essentially, they are awarded by a panel of 50 highly experienced jurors from media all over not social media, I'm sorry, online prints, magazines, again, experienced juror. They call them jurors, experienced jurors from media that can place their vote. To be eligible, vehicles must be all substantially new and available for purchase before the end of the calendar year. These semifinalists in each category will be announced in September. What is that? 3 months from now. Finalists in November, and the category winners will be announced in January of 2023. So, shout out to the new Z and the Ariya. They have got some stiff competition, though. The new Z is competing against the Porsche Cayman GT4 RS, the new Toyota GR Corolla, which has got some buzz. A lot of these they're talking about are EVs, and which is why the Ariya fits so nicely because in terms, I mean, this is nothing new, but when the automotive industry, obviously right now, the EV world, this transition is very, very huge. So a lot of these eligible car and trucks of the year are EV. And so that is such the case with the Ariya as well. The utility vehicle of the year has 31 entries. That is a lot to choose from. So yeah, I would say definitely if the Ariya makes it, that is a huge, huge
Hold on.
feather in the cap.
We're gonna back that up. So that's utility vehicles of the year. Go up straight a little bit. Go up top. All right. So the Nissan Z is now. Go give me the list. Go down. Come
There
on
you go.
now. The Nissan Z is placed number 9. Um, Above it, the Genesis G90.
Mm.
Okay, all right. If you want to fight that battle, we'll talk about it later. The BMW i4. Okay. At the top of the list, the Acura Integra.
I
Hold up.
saw that. Yeah.
I own the Acura Integra for a hot minute, and yes, it was a great car. The new Acura Integra was
Yeah.
not too bad, but then they came out and Acura like pretty much just screwed the pooch when they
Yeah.
dropped the version out with the stickers and all the garbage on it, and they did the four-door version. Did you see
Hmm.
what I said? Yeah,
Yes.
Shame.
yeah.
I agree. And this Integra, from what I've read, is just a rebadged Honda Cross Tour. I think it's got some modifications and whatnot, but it's a 4-door. There is not a 2-door version. It doesn't have the iconic the four eyes Integra look, which was on the last generation, the previous generation. Um, by the
Okay,
way, Miles and I do a Honda Nerd podcast on Saturdays. Yeah.
but let me just go ahead and say this. If you have to make more than 3 excuses for a car, guess what? It shouldn't be at the top of the list, the car of the year.
Yeah, well, and I was wondering. I don't know if they had mentioned this actually being in a particular order. I,
Well,
I
I'm
know these are the
saying it's in an order,
ones.
and sir, I am offended.
I am offended.
Yeah,
Well,
out of here.
hopefully, if we do the right stuff, and the Z, having created such a buzz that it has, maybe we'll see it on top. So
Let's talk about this. I mean, I don't know. Now you got me all angry. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's move on. Next one. Something else spicy.
next one. Yeah.
Ugh.
Next one on the news in 60 seconds and/or whenever we feel like it here. This is actually from Nissan's media channel as well. The Nissan Foundation awards $848,000 in grants to nonprofits sharing unique cultural perspectives in 2022. The
Nice.
Nissan Foundation, yeah, very, very nice. Nissan Foundation has been around for 30 years and has supported educational programs that promote a greater appreciation and understanding of America's diverse cultural heritage. There are 33 nonprofit organizations which will receive this disbursement of this $848,000. These nonprofits can be found on a list on Nissan's site. We'll go ahead and include it in our show notes. And these areas are where Nissan has had or has a operational presence. So in very key cities, I believe they mentioned California, Tennessee, obviously a few in Texas as well, New York. Again, check out our show notes. We'll have the exact names if you really are curious. They are there. Fun note, I did not know this. The Nissan Foundation was created as a direct response to the civil unrest that followed the Rodney King trial verdict that occurred near Nissan's North America headquarters in Southern California. I
Oh wow.
think about that. I didn't, 30 years ago, this was the Nissan Foundation, and all of the money that it's donated in grants over each year was a response to, maybe we're showing our age, but I remember that a little bit the trial and
Well, we're talking about the Rodney King trial and
Mhm.
all the aftermath that come with it. Yeah, that was an interesting time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that
Yeah,
alone, but
yeah. I didn't mean to go any deeper on it, but it is pretty cool how it was a response. So that is pretty cool,
fair,
though.
out of it, I mean, something good was created like this. So yeah, kudos to Nissan again for coming it up. 848,000 is nothing to scoff at, and Nissan always does really cool and generous things like this. We try to keep you abreast of it as we move forward. But I mean, the Smyrna plant does amazing things. The Nissan Foundation does a lot of great things out of the headquarters. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, when the when COVID really kind of came down, Nissan changed its manufacturing line to make masks for a short
Yes.
time in an effort to help out. I mean, that's one thing I love about the brand. People always ask, like, I know you're a big Z guy and you're a big fan of the Nissan models. Is like, but why the brand so much? It's because I really get behind the brand and everything that stands for. I feel like it really symbolizes everything that we embody or try to embody in our culture. And then when we do our events or we do something like this, this is why we stand behind that brand so much. We love the designs. We love that they care so much about the community and people and the car community for that matter. So yeah, kudos to them for everything they do. along just another drop in the bucket of many, many cool things that they've done over the last a number of years. So
Perfect.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's go ahead and go with the last story here for news in 60 seconds. This one was really really fun. I honestly struggled with making this my main story this week, and I really liked it. And I'll tell you why. Uh, there is now an official Z32 JDM market production data website, a registry that tells you from the VIN number all the optional all the combinations that were made according to every VIN number. And the reason why this affects me is because yes, I do have a JDM 300ZX, and you've got and it was really fun. I literally spent. Go ahead.
name drop.
Name drop. I I had fun though. I was actually going through this for the last couple of days, kind of looking at the number of options, what was going on, and I thought it'd be fun. Honestly, I'll do my VIN number right now just to kind of show you what it is. It's a really good, I think, a really cool exercise. Honestly, I let's go for it. And it tells you how many cars were built each year for the Japan market. Now, I should say, now this is not the only one registry that's out online, but this is the first for the JDM Z32. The U.S. market has their own registry on a different website, and it is available. So show you here. Just a quick search. I've got my VIN number right here. 36. Is identity theft among cars a real thing? I don't have no idea.
Well, somebody's going to be at your house and take it from you here tonight. So it's cool. You better not say it's that rare because they'll come and snatch it from you.
Nah, I don't think it's rare. It's the most, and you know this, Miles. It's the most base of the base Z32 you can find. It doesn't even have ABS for God's sake. So that's really unique because the U.S. all of U.S. cars got the ABS. Mine does not. But yeah, it's color code 673 silver metallic. There it is. It has all the options here. Manual transmission, non-turbo, rear spoiler.
With four-cylinder? That's weird. Truly the base of the base. It had
the base.
K4 in it. That's weird that it had a K4 and it's a single cam K. Oh, that's weird.
Shut up.
A truck engine in your Z. Oh, weird. All right, moving on.
Yes. Anyway, so if you guys are interested in knowing more about this registry, you can go to gtr-registry.com, and just to let you know, it's more than just the Z32 that they have information on. Such examples here. It is loading. The GTR R35, the R34, counting down R33, R32, 31. Essentially, virtually every generation of Skyline, or most generations of Skyline. There are a few other hero cars, of course, that are non-Nissan. You do have the Silvia, S13, 14, and 15 available in this registry. The Pulsar, my favorite. They've got some information on this, the Figaro, and the Z33 Fair Lady as well, 350Z. There is a registry on that. So again, gtr-registry.com. You can check out more on this.
I haven't seen a whole lot of right-hand drive 350Zs stateside now that I'm thinking about it. Weird.
Well, there's a 25-year rule. So if the first one wasn't made until 03, so it won't be until 2028, at least within certain rules. Importation rules.
That's the only way you're going to get a clean 350Z nowadays that hasn't been drift boyed all to hell. So
good point. You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. I think
slam on Megan coilovers and hit every curb, and they're 4 zip codes. So it's like, yeah.
Small tidbit of information too. In Canada, you can import a car that is as young as 15 years old. In the U.S., it's 25. In Canada, it's 15. That means Canada has a 10-year head start on importing some fun cars, like you mentioned with the right-hand drive 350. So technically, right-hand drive 350s should be floating around Canada already. That same goes for the S15 Silvia. It's interesting information, though. I've always that struck me whenever I heard about that.
Sounds like we might be Canadian soon. A
One more reason to go to Canada, man. Yeah,
I
to
like
all our
pancake.
Canadian friends,
I like
you lucky
pancake.
guys.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Moving down the line, we got more news to kind of go over. So that concludes our news in around about 60 seconds. We should say news not in 60 seconds. So
I like that.
news never in 60 seconds. We'll see. So, moving on, let's do some crowd work. Ion responded to us. He goes, "That's interesting." I'm assuming he's talking about your car. He said that has a base seat, but it has a spoiler. Ooh, he's calling you out, homie.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's all there. It's in black and white. I mean, you're absolutely right. It does have a spoiler, and it doesn't have cruise control. I know that much. It doesn't have ABS. I want to say it's one pretty low on the totem pole there. Yeah.
Nah, base models they sometimes are sought after, especially in our world, because those are the cars that are prime for ownership, just like the slick tops.
Well, the
Those are
slick tops specifically, for sure. Yep, yep.
because the weight is all gone, and but to each their own. Some people love the tops, some people love the slick tops. I mean, well, it is what it is.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on down the line. Motorsports. We got Super GT. Now, it has been a month since you and I have gotten together. So, luckily, there actually has been a Super GT race while we were about on our vacation, going around. So,
Yes.
let me go ahead. I am going to say I want to steal the steering wheel for a minute. I know you hate when I say that, but I'm going to steal that.
Okay.
And let me drop this on you, homie. Booyakasha. All right. So let's see here. So this is actually some footage from Super GT round 3 of Suzuka. And can everybody see it?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. So actually the round 3 of Super GT, come on now, hit me.
Yeah.
Thought I was play this.
Oh, you're probably waiting to press play on that one, huh?
You would think so. All right. But I thought I knew what I was doing here. My apologies. Having some kind of difficulties. Anyway, we'll put it up here in a second. Anyway, round 3 of Super GT just occurred here recently. That occurred. You son of a bitch. All right. Boom. All right. We'll let that just play in the background. All right. Moving on. Round 3, Super GT Suzuka Circuit, actually occurred May 28th and 29th. It actually turned out to be a pretty good weekend for Nissan, all in all. So we had the practice that actually went on the 28th for the 500 series and the 300 series. Let's start with the 500 class.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we'll start with the 300 class and move on to the 500 class. For the 300 class on the Saturday's practice, well, not too bad. Of course, the shining star for Nissan was the Realized Nissan Mechanic Challenge. GTR, which actually held strong through the practice, coming in a solid third. They weren't quite hitting first like we're usually normally seeing them within the last few races, but they did hold strong, only missing from first and second, off by just about 3 seconds. So they were just barely off the pace. Going into Saturday's qualifying for the 300 class, the Realized team held strong, taking third place in the podium for that day. Again, only being off in this by 0.3 of a second on the qualifying day.
3/10.
And for qualifying day on the 28th for the 500 class, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Motul Altec Z. These guys were just kicking tail in practice. They were put down a blistering time with the fastest lap in the practice round at 1 minute 45 seconds, and which was actually pretty damn fast for practice time. Going into qualifying, speeds kind of went up a little bit, and they actually got bumped down a little bit. The the Motul Alltech, when it came to qualifying, they actually suffered some technical difficulties. They got bumped down to 12th place
Mm.
after practice, but third place was actually by Craft Sports Motul Z. They came in third with just a few seconds off the pace, and they put in a blisteringly fast lap. I actually wanted to show that to you
Sure.
here. Now, bring it back down here and show you their lap that they put out. Now, this is the Galsonic Z that actually was running out a little bit. This was the.
火花を出しながら、
I'm going to bring this down a little bit.
このレースに取り組みしてるが、はい、
This is their QT.
とことん攻めてるというふうに僕は見えて取れますね。これがレースですね、やっぱね。セカンドは2秒2のマイナスで、これその前に通過してそうだ、44秒425。
And that was just an extremely fast lap for that day. Even though they came in putting down for third, they still got up into the points for the third. Now, going into race day, race day was an extremely good day for Nissan. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. And I'm going to give you. This is the start date with, of course, with the new Z is the new pace car, which we've talked a little bit about offline on the Facebook page. You can check that car out a little bit more in detail. But here is the start of the race for race day, the 29th at Suzuka. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 300 class. The realized Nissan mechanic really the GTR actually had a really surprisingly tough day. They battled their way through a lot, but they actually slipped down a few places throughout most of the day, but then came back to finish in third, off by just 3 points of a second. Unfortunately, losing to the first place BMW M4 by Studi, and then the K-Tunes RCF GT3 with Lexus. And then the Realized GTR came in third, which is still very, very good for them. It's surprisingly great finish. The Mechanic Challenge GTR has actually been doing really good so far. Of course, we are only in round 3 of the season, which is around a total of 8 rounds. I do see them finishing strong, if not taking the whole thing, just like they did last year. They did a great. A great expedition of speed throughout that entire series. I can't see them not performing like this again. A few more honorable mentions in the 300 class. The 7th place went up to the run-up Rival GTR. The Gainer Tenax GTR came in 8th. And those are going to round out the GTRs for that were in the money, if you will, for the 300 class. Going into the 500 class, bit of a different story, and I want to show you. Coming up here, now you'll see this running in the background, but this is actually about the Craft Sports Motul Z. They actually did they did a great a great run day for the day. They actually came in first place. Craft Sports Motul Z ended up finishing first with I think this was a Chiyu at the holding the steering wheel when everything came in. Couldn't remember exactly who the finishing driver was, but actually came in with the best lap of 1 minute 48 seconds. And they did a really, really impressive racing day. They held to a lot of competition. And then it looked like they ended up taking it for the day. So a few more honorable mentions. The Realized Corporation, the Advan Z, ended up taking 6th for the day.
Okay.
And then the Motul Alltech Z ended up taking 12th. And the Calsonic Impulse Z, unfortunately, finished in, had a DNF, unfortunately, for the day. But they put in about 51 laps for the day. So, yeah, kudos to them. Great finish for the day. Again, we'll give you a little more for race results and how the teams are kind of looking right now. Let me see here if I have it at this time. But for points, I'll give you a little more points at a later time. I don't quite have those in front of me. But again, just a great day all around for Nissan. We've got the next race isn't for quite some time. There's going to be a long pause from now until the next race. So 8-6 and 8-7 is round 4 in Fuji. So there's going to be a lot of downtime, which is unfortunate. But, we've got this month, next month, and then a race at the beginning of next month, or 8-6 of 7. So yeah, round 4 in Fuji, and then we've got round 5, 6, 7, and 8, which are fairly good, fairly back to back. But yeah, this is going to be a long, drawn out season. So for those that haven't had an opportunity to check those out, there is going to be some great footage you're going to be able to look at for this round 4 for a while, but we've got about 2 months till we come up to our next race, unfortunately. So yeah.
Gotcha.
We'll keep you abreast of anything that comes up in the meantime. But that's everything that I've got on Super GT for right now.
Awesome, man. Yeah, like you mentioned, Nissan has had a really good start to the season, especially with the new Z. So yeah, if they finish with a podium or top finish for the year as a constructor, or even just for their drivers competition, I think the odds look pretty good.
Yeah, hopefully so. I will say, that Realize team on in the 300 class it really puts out a really great effort, some great racing, some great driving. And all the Z's that are in the 500 class are really just doing well overall. I mean, they're kind of dominating this year, and I can't see us not finishing really strong on the podiums this year. So, I mean, Nissan's definitely putting in the effort. I hope that this trickles down into the lower classes or other series. We start seeing Nissan put a little more money into the motorsports. Of course, it is that kind of weird year where not a lot of money is going out for things right now. But if Nissan does, it'll be pretty impressive. But I think they're going to have a great year overall. So we'll talk about a little bit as things unfold a little bit further. So
Sounds good. Sounds good, man. Thanks for the update. I've got some news with Formula E and the Nissan EDAMS team. If I'll go ahead and share my screen on this one as well. So let's talk about Formula E and the team here. I'm going to let this video play in the background. Now, if you remember last time we spoke about this, we are in round 9, and round 9 took place here in the streets of Jakarta. Do you remember where that's at, Miles? I gave you a geography lesson last time, remember?
Mexico.
Think on an island northwest of Australia. So you're so yeah. Anyway, this was a brand new track. It's the first time that Formula E has debuted or this new track. So it was definitely a challenge for all of the drivers and all the teams. Now, as far as the Nissan EDAMS team, R2 drivers Maximilian Gunther and Sebastian Buemi did all right. Honestly, Buemi went second fastest during first practice. It was looking very, very promising. They showed some really good pace out there. Now, in terms of qualifying, Buemi qualified 10th, and Maximilian Gunther qualified 14th. Now, as opposed to a lot of the other rounds that you have here in Formula E, this was a one-race weekend. A lot of the Formula E races that we've been covering have been double headers, right? This was not the case. So this was just one race for the weekend. Again, Maximilian Gunther qualified. He qualified 15th and finished 14th. Bringing 0 points, unfortunately, for the team. However, Sebastian Buemi qualified 6th, and in the end, he brought home P10, which is 1 point for the team. That P10 overtake, he was actually in P11, 11th place for the longest time, and it was on the last lap that he was able to secure 10th place, bringing home 1 point for the Nissan team. It may not sound like much, but that 1 point brought the EDAMS team to improve their position as a constructor from 9th place. They are now in 8th place as a constructor here this season for Formula E. So definitely well appreciated. I think overall a lot of the notes that were given, I'm going to share. There is a very good Nismo article that covers the team's performance, and again, you can find this in our show notes. But overall, they showed that they had a great pace. They weren't able to capitalize on it as much as they hoped, but they did say that overall this has been an improvement since the last two rounds, round 7 and round 8, which were in Berlin, Germany. So this here, round 9 in Jakarta, has been an improvement. So people were overall pretty happy with this last race, which again it took place here on June 4th, so about two weeks ago. Moving into the next round, the next race is happening. This is round 10. Again, it is a single race in Marrakesh. Hey, Miles, you want to know another geography lesson?
Yes.
For those who don't know, Marrakesh is in Morocco, which is northern Africa, getting really close to the Strait of Gibraltar in Spain, for anybody who needs a little bit of a map. You know what? Again, I'm not going to say I know all these things. So if I didn't know, there's a lot of people out there who didn't know. So that's why I thought to go ahead and share that with you, Miles. Yes. Let's just not all pretend we all know where it's at. But anyway, what?
It's on an ice bridge. Moving on.
It's on an ice bridge. That's right. Now this track is not a street track. It is an actual circuit. We're looking here. This is the Circuit International Automobile Moulay El Hassan.
They said perfect.
Perfect, right? 12 turns, 3 straights, 1.85 miles. This race is happening July 2nd. So we're just about 2.5 weeks until the next race. So we might even cover this during our next episode as well. So just similar to Super GT, Miles, you mentioned there being a really long break in between rounds. Same thing happening right now with Formula E. So again, I imagine, and I was wondering, because I'll just give you an example. I follow F1. I had been more so.
Same thing in motorsports. I've been noticing these like pauses, and I'm like, what's going on?
Well, there are summer breaks. I mean, when you're in the dead middle of summer, sometimes the heat is just so much, not only on the cars but on the teams. So they have a summer break, which is typically about 3 weeks. Maybe a little bit longer. But we're only halfway through June. Technically, it's not even summer yet. So I am a little curious. I mean, I think, Miles, me and you know that as event organizers in the past, a lot of it depends on when the tracks are available. So that could just be a circumstance of the track deals that the league have had to make for this year. So I'm sure there's a number of different reasons.
About people's safety in racing. I don't know. I just don't get it. But anyway, moving on. Yeah,
yes.
Let's talk about this race. What do we got going on?
So here in Marrakesh, I mean, it is. What can I say? I mean, there's what information do we have here? The fastest lap previously was the lap record in 2019, 1 minute 20 seconds. Now we're still using the Gen 2 cars. I think we're waiting for Gen 3 to come out. In terms of comparison, I mean, I think we're probably gonna be along the same pace for the lap records. What's that?
Pros?
That's in the Renault team. Yeah.
Look at
Actually, that is him with Sebastian Buemi.
Yeah, I was going to say pros
2016.
I don't know who the guy on the right is, but I'm sure he's also probably a team manager or something. But yeah, I can't believe I saw Prost. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah.
I've seen him a lot with the Alpine team, which is Renault and F1 previously.
Very pro.
I think Renault, again, this is just a side note, Renault and Prost, I think they've kind of parted ways recently. Otherwise, remember that was a 2016 photo, so it's been 6 years. So yeah,
good point. I didn't even think about that. So, all right, Well, very, very cool. So we've got more motorsports news to actually kind of talk about a little
Yes.
bit. So good recap on Formula E. Centra Cup is finally with us again. For the longest time, we had no information on Centra Cup, and I love the series. We try to promote it, but it's a little tough to sometimes find information on it, and there's just not a lot of media data that we can find for whatever reason. If anybody has any links to anything, or maybe there's some kind of media platform that we're just not catching, let us know.
Yep.
But we did manage to kind of scrape together something, because guess what? The first races have now occurred for the Nissan Sentra Cup. The first race while we were out on vacation did occur May 20th. And looked like on 22nd as well. Looked like there was two races. Mike, I'm going to steal the steering wheel for a quick second.
Sure.
And we actually were able to finally scrape together some footage.
Nice, nice, nice. Go for it.
Finally. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here. Meow, meow, meow. So this is actually a little bit of footage from race two. It's music, so I'm going to go ahead and just let it go without the volume. But May 20th through 22nd actually had two races that occurred here. This was actually at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Ontario. That was a full two races that occurred during that time period. Now, overall drivers, we don't have folks that we're rooting for at this time, but I did want to let you know the top three teams that actually came in for the week. We have the iCar Canada racing team actually turned out to do the best with the Josin Arsenault at the helm. Now I'm going to go through these results by race. Now the first place driver, since I don't have too much data here, it looked like I've got a Simon Charbonneau, who actually took first for the day. But the key thing to remember here, he took the best lap, but second place went to Justin Arsenault. The reason why that's important is because he did extremely well on the secondary race. And it looked like an Alexander Fortin took first place in the first race. My apologies. And Justin Arsenault took second place in this second race, the one that I just mentioned, unfortunately backwards. Simon Charbonneau ended up taking first place. Justin Arsenault again took second place.
Mm.
Based off of point strategy, it puts Mr. Justin Arsenault up front um, by just a few points, in position of 98 points right now, with the in the highest ranking. With him next down the line was an Alexander Fortin with the Foy Nissan Beauport Nissan slash Fix Auto coming in at with 92 points, and a Valerie Limoges with a Nissan Gabriel and Total Quartz, the watch folks, and at 76 points. And just to name a few more teams that are out there, and I'm just going to throw them out there as I find interesting. The Automobile Sylvain Olette, French, and they have a team that's out this year. You've got Foy Nissan again, who are fielding two vehicles. They have another one that's out. Auto Club Nissan as well. They've got a dog in the fight. Chaps Racing Team has a vehicle that they're sponsoring. A Canadian Tire Nissan that they're also fielding. Unicorn Motorsports is also putting a Nissan. They're fielding 191 Motorsports as well. And it looks like Chaps Racing is actually fielding two cars this year. And a Veloce is also Nissan is also fielding a car. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's going into these vehicles and a lot of effort for racing this year. So again, kudos to everybody that's in the Cup. Right now, we are only two races in. Our next race will actually be this weekend. So we'll have some
Mm.
information to report next Nissan Nerd podcast, June 17th and June 19th. Looks like that race will actually be held at Circuit Gilles or Giles Villanueva. So yeah, again, we'll give you more details on that as it unfolds. We'll see if we're lucky enough to actually grab you some more footage in that regard. So again, if anybody has anything in regards to footage for the Nissan Sentra Cup, let us know, and we can definitely post it. So very cool.
Cool.
All right, so let's go to a little bit of crowd work, if you will. Let's see here. Nissan, blah, blah, blah. Ion. Bert says, sorry he's late. Don't worry about it, Bert. Don't let it happen again. Let's see here. Stupid job. Quit. Just quit, Bert. Let me see here. Kate Burton said, how long until we see a Nissan Nerd podcast sponsored Sentra? Never. We're
I
too
think.
cute.
Hey, we'll tell you what. Maybe we can donate our labor and swap an engine out for one of the grassroots centric.
Don't say that because we'll probably do it.
They're probably listening right now. Hey, by the way, before we move away from the Sentra Cup, though, I did notice in that video, it seemed to be a pretty wet race. It seemed to be raining during that race, which makes any race very, very interesting. Yeah.
Race 2 was in the wet. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So that's always going to slow things down and make things more interesting. Again, if I had more footage or more insight, or they gave me an actual race that I could watch for the 2 hour from beginning to end footage, I would give it to you all. Even if it was French, I'd walk and stumble through it all, hitting every branch of linguistic error along the way. But guess what? I can't find any damn footage. Maybe it's all in French. Maybe the French are using some different media system. I don't know. This is for me. Let me know. I love you, Canada, but you're making it hard. All right? Give me something. I love you. Bye.
And you did mention a lot of sponsors, by the way, that were a part of that race league, and I was like, it sounds like a lot of them are definitely obviously these teams are grassroots approach. They seem to have some pretty good, some of the sponsors are some notable brands, and then you have some that are not as notable. Like I think you mentioned something in there about the Quebec Farmers Market was a sponsor for one of the. You know what I mean? Hey, take it wherever you can get it. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I was going to go with a couple other ones, but guess what? I'm not going to downplay the farmers market because guess what? I don't,
They're peach cobbler. From what I hear, yeah,
and they're gonna be like that. Oh, is this for Monsieur McD?
Yeah.
And
no strawberry jam, man. It really, yeah.
All right. So going back to the Nissan Nerd podcast sponsored Sentra, I don't think it's going to happen. Mike put in here, he goes, we'd sponsor with labor more than cash these days. Basically, we're cheap labor. We've always been cheap labor, and that's it. We break our backs rather than spend our money. Trying to keep the lights on. We're just trying to keep the lights on in this place. So it is what it is. So if you're out there, Nissan's anybody who wants to sponsor us, or the farmers market, if you want to throw us a $50 bag of something, we'll throw your name out there. So kudos. Moving on down the line. So let's talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about our vacation.
We had a really good vacation. Yeah, let's talk about it, man.
We had a really good vacation, actually. So we did a Branson Z Fest road trip here recently. Like we promised that we would.
We did. So we followed through.
We went to Branson Z Fest here recently, and it was a hell of a road trip. It took a lot out of us. And I'll let Mike take the lead from here. So yeah.
Well, I was trying to think over how, because we did so much in such a small period of time. I was trying to figure out how do we present it to all you fine folks without it sounding like this. It made me feel. You remember, like in the '90s, like you would have your neighbors that would show you their pictures to like some country with a little slideshow projector to little slideshow.
Yeah, it's super lame, and
I don't
get it.
exactly. I don't want it to be lame, so I was trying really
The
hard to
only
think
other
about.
equivalently lame thing that it could be is like the equivalent of like you bring a date home and your mom busts out like your prom pictures
Oh,
or your baby
yeah.
pictures. Oh,
We're
come
n-
on.
we're not that bad. We're not that bad.
We're not going to do
Yeah.
baby pictures, but we're going to try to make it interesting. We're going to try to recap an event that I know none
Yeah.
of you were there, but we'll try to make it interesting. And I'm pretty sure we'll throw some smack talk, some trash talk. And at the very end, we have some really good stories that we like to throw out there. So
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
note, I think that we need to make this a 3-man operation at this point. Is that right?
We do. We need to bring in our friend. Hope you're there. Let's go and bring on Ion. He was our. Would you call him our third wheel as part of the trip? We
He's our
also had.
intern. Yeah.
He's our intern. Ion, you there?
Good Lord, you're foggy. Is that how you? Is that how
Glad you
you
can
are?
make it.
Foggy, and I can't hear you. Say something.
Say something, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
There you go.
Or foggy.
We got our buddy Onion. Let's talk about the trip, though, man. Thank you for joining us. We also had our buddy Pinky join us for most of the trip as well. I wasn't able to reach out to him in time, but definitely shout out to our buddy Pinky for joining us on our road trip as well. But let's talk about the trip, though, man. We started off on a Saturday morning. Miles, me and you, we rented out we thought it was going to be a Maxima, but
we
then
thought we were getting a Maxima. We ended up getting an Ultima. So we did big Ultima energy for the entire trip. So we got fish. What is it?
catfished.
We got catfished on the Nissan brand. It was still a Nissan brand, so we did it the right way. Enterprise, thank you for at least doing that. So kudos to them. So we started calling it initially we called it the Multima.
Yeah.
So it was the best thing that we could come up with, and I think we called it Nerd Force One. I think that's ultimately what we finished up with. Go ahead on.
I think I seem to remember it initially going to be a Rogue, wasn't it?
Never going to be a Rogue.
Well,
It was going to be a Rogue, and then we needed to buy car parts along the way on the road trip.
Yes.
So therefore,
the Enterprise guy, the Enterprise guy said that surprisingly, in his opinion, the Ultima had more space, even though the Rogue might be taller. In terms of you could lay down seats through the trunk and actually have some more space, supposedly. So that's what we went with. Yeah.
Your dead hooker storage. He goes.
That did come in handy later, as we'll get into.
That is true. So it started off as a Multima, became Nerd Force One. So go ahead.
No, and then the only thing it smelled like big Ultima energy. It smelled like bad feet and good stew. So we had to change that up. So we went a little JDM and I had a bunch of squash air fresheners. If you're old school, car nerd, you buy the squash. And I buy it by the case. So I popped the tops on those bad boys and chunked it behind me, and we were out.
We were off.
So the first night of our trip, we were on our way to stay at Onion's house, and we were going to go party it up a little bit in Austin, I guess, sort of, kind of. I don't even know.
We had some fun. I mean, again, Austin is not too far from where our start of our adventure was at, but Austin has lots of things that we can do, and we did. There was a really good place. We got some lunch. There was some go-karts. That was fun. I know.
Do go-karts, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen. I do have some pictures along the way, but you go ahead, Miles.
I'll let you explain that one. So they have these little kids bowling alley that's kind of mixed into this. It's like half games, half karting, and half a bowling alley. But the bowling alley is like these little small balls, and they don't know about these guns, these 75-inch pythons. And I chunked that ball. I mean, I Nolan Ryan that SOB all the way down that side. And I
those poor little kids, they were like this big.
Yeah, I knocked the crap out of those pins, boy. And it's so much that I broke the machine, and that's what you see right there.
Yeah.
And and we bounced. Yeah, and then we had to bounce to a different section because I'm not paying maintenance bills on a bowling alley.
Well,
So
and then you
moving on.
ruined an 8-year-old's birthday because of it. Because then they were like, that's exactly what they came there for, was for the bowling alley.
Well, guess what, kid? Talk to the pythons.
Ah!
Trick you with them, Billy. And that's it. So we moved on to karting before we got kicked out, and
Yep.
this actually is talking about ruining children's expectations. We start getting out to karting, and for those that don't know, we get a little competitive
We're
with
very competitive, no matter what card it is. Go ahead.
people have gotten hurt. I've broken 2 bones at a kids karting event. That's how hardcore we get. We've broken hay bales on outside versions. We made somebody concussed previously.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it gets a little Thunderdome when we go to karting. So I'll let you go ahead and drop the story on the karting, but go ahead.
I think Ion had the best story because that one story that what kid was it? Remember he was like he was
Yeah.
taunting you.
There was that kid that was like hanging out right in front of Miles, right?
No,
And
so we get into karting, and it's Ion's behind me, I'm in front, and they stop it before they let everybody go. I guess somebody had spun out, and so they stop everything. To my left is this little curly-haired 15-year-old kid, and he goes and he looks over at me, and he's like, "On the next turn, I'm gonna beat you, and there's nothing you can do about it." And me and Ion look at each other
yeah,
like,
I'm like, what?
I was like, "Kid, I'm about to give you the red turtle in about 2 seconds." I looked at him like this with his curly hair, and I was like, "I wouldn't advise that." And his
Yes,
friend was yelling back to him, and he goes, "Jacob, he's gonna beat you. He says he's gonna turn you around." I was like, "Hey, Jacob," who I now know his name. Jacob, go, "I'm gonna beat you, old man." I was like, "Oh," I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Jacob, I wouldn't advise that for one reason. I never let curly haired people beat me. And needless to say, I have more pubes on my armpits than you have down there. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you. It's gonna happen. Anyway, and I was like, and I just go like this, 2 turns, boy. And he was like, and then Ion is back there laughing at the trash talk that's happening. They start the cart, boom, we're out, right? First turn, I'm getting on him. I'm doing the intimidator move. Second turn, turn that guy full 180, and I send him to the wall, ass backwards. Ion passes him, and he goes, "I told you." And we
I
get
raised
out.
a peace sign. I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
we race and everything, and obviously we're we're the top people in a bunch of kids, right? It wasn't too hard to beat them out. But we get out. That kid doesn't look me in the eye. Worst birthday experience ever. So, and you know what? I dominated on a 15-year-old. So,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
I still got it. Pythons
That
go.
was fun.
Pythons,
Pythons go. Yeah, yeah. But
Ooh.
overall, the day was looking pretty good. I don't want to get too caught up. We still got so much
Yeah,
more to talk about
yeah,
here, but
go.
day one
Day
was
one,
eventful for
back,
sure.
we had a fun time, and then
Yeah.
so after day one, we spent the night, and then we had to roll out to Dallas was the next part of our leg,
Yep.
where we were set to go to Medieval Times that night, and then go out for some arcade and brews. And we were supposed to meet up with Pinky to our left, right there of Mr. Onion. So we ended up leaving Ion's house early in the morning, make it to Dallas with no real issues. And then we get to our hotel, and then it's time to get down for my lifelong ambition to go to Medieval Times.
I've never seen a grown man so excited about Medieval Times
No doubt.
than Miles. That was the only thing you wanted, because when we were making this road trip, you just said we're doing one thing and at least one thing, and then you mentioned Medieval Times, and I hadn't really thought about it. I didn't even know he was in Dallas, but you
I
made
did my
it.
research. I got the
You made
hotel
sure.
next door to Medieval Times. I mean, you could
Yep.
literally see it from my hotel room. I called ahead.
Yep.
We're gonna do Medieval Times. We're down. Are you down? Pinky's down. We're going, and that's it.
Yep.
Boom.
Honestly, it didn't disappoint, man. I honestly had a good time. I think you had a good time as
Yeah,
well,
it was
right?
kind of fun. Yeah, and Pinky even invited some of his buddies from Dallas,
That's
who
right.
apparently were serious medieval times fans.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
And we, luckily enough, got sat in the bad guy section, which was awesome.
This guy was
Because,
badass.
yeah, our guy had like a beard that went out to here, and he
Dude.
was just, and he almost threw me a
It was
flower.
it was
I
epic.
was like, I probably would have taken it, but moving on. But yes, so if you don't know anything about medieval times, you sit in a section and then you get assigned a knight. And that knight is all part of the story. So there's a whole story that kind of happens, and then you get to cheer and root for your guy, and hopefully he kind of makes it to the end. So he's an integral part of the
winner.
story. Yeah, the
Yeah.
winner.
And
He's
he,
either
and
the
he
good
nearly
guy or
did
the bad guy
too.
of the story. And our guy made it all the way to the end, and then he turned out to be the bad guy, which was
Yeah.
the best.
He became a villain. He went heel on it. It was cool. It was cool.
There's
Yeah,
a
he was
whole
a-
scene where
he did a
like,
whole-
he calls
I-
out the queen.
Yeah, he did a whole Luke, I'm your father scenario, so it was awesome. Yeah, but they feed you. Like I remember Pinky like looked at me and he goes, "They're gonna feed you," and I was like, "Oh, do we need to eat before this?" And he goes, "Dude, they're gonna feed you a lot, like half a chicken and like
Yeah.
everything else." And it was so much freaking food and beer. Like
There's a
my
lot of food.
stomach was like out here when we were done. But yeah, I mean, needless to
Yeah.
say, we had a great time. We drank a lot. We ate a lot.
We quoted the cable guy a million times.
A million
Yep.
freaking times.
Yeah, we
which
did.
you're
Yeah.
over it by this time, by 15-year-old reference. But yeah, we
Yeah.
had a blast. Again, for anybody that has the means, I do recommend you check out Medieval Times if you're down for that kind of action.
Lots of fun. Yep.
Kudos.
This is
Um,
a at least once in a lifetime thing.
Just
You
do it
must
once. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just do it
definitely
once.
recommend it. Do it once.
I'm
Definitely a
good.
lot of fun.
I did it once. I did it with my friends. I'm good. Moving on down. Surprisingly, it smells a lot like chicken grease and horse poop.
It does.
It does a lot. And then, so after this, we ended up hitting an arcade that we went out for some drinks and arcades, which are amazing combinations to have booze and arcade.
Oh, it was lots of
video
fun.
games, vintage arcades. So we had a blast. But that was pretty much how we kind of went through the night. That was in downtown Dallas. I forgot the name of that joint. What was the name of that place?
Cidercade.
Cidercade.
Cidercade. And yeah, we actually were good boys. We called it a night and then made our way back to our hotel room to be out for the next leg. So the next
Yeah.
leg of this, we had to actually go from Dallas and make it out to a casino that Mike had kind of put together. That
You're
was
missing
part of
out
his-
on Simtech. Remember Simtech, buddy?
I know we're getting there,
Oh,
but
yeah,
that was
yeah,
the
yeah.
plan.
Okay.
I had a surprise for these guys to stop into Simtech, which is an old friend of mine. Craig, who owns Simtech Motorsports, back in the days, did some amazing things with restoring cars, still does some amazing things with restoring cars. And he has this like huge collection of just rare and odd, weird Nissan and Datsun things, which I absolutely love. Simtech actually was a motorsports shop that was based out of California for a long time. He has since then ultimately kind of closed the shop and reopened it in a small corner just outside of Fort Worth. He likes his privacy, but he really does his own restorations by client. So he basically takes them one by one. So he was nice enough to kind of dust off the old cars for us. In this photo right here was the original Simtech 300ZX, which is a non-turbo 300ZX that doesn't have any type of fan cooling because of the aerodynamics that are involved with the car. He doesn't run any pull through for the air. It's actually pretty interesting vehicle, super lightweight. Everything on the car has been lightened up, carbon fiber hatches. Everything's just kind of stripped down to bare bones.
Yeah.
But it's really just a car that is meant for autocross and just racing events. And I haven't seen this car probably in about 10 years. But it was interesting. Any other photos we have from that?
What did
I
you
do
say
have
it weighed? It was like what, 2,600 pounds or something like
Yeah,
that?
2,600 pounds. Or
super light, super light.
this is one of many other cars that are there. This is one of
I
their
was so happy to see this.
Datsun 240Zs. This is called Christine. This vehicle actually has a VG30DE from 300ZX stuffed into it, and it is pulled off
T.
remarkably well.
Single
Excuse me,
turbo.
turbo. My apologies. And it actually carries the 5-speed transmission, and then it has an S15 subframe that is retrofitted into the rear of this car. It handles like an SOB. I've been in this car. I've been around it on a track. It is an amazing vehicle. This is just kind of the level of quality that Craig at Simtech does for some of his installs. This is his own personal car, but again, he does amazing rebuilds. Were there any of the photos that he had for some of the restorations?
I don't have them with me at the moment though, but he had a few with 2000 Fairlady Roadsters with
Yeah.
KA motors. He had a few Skylines actually.
Yeah, he's pretty prone to working on Datsun Roadsters, and then of course the Datsun S chassis, and then GTRs. Those are pretty much his bread and butter. But he does solely restorations by appointment only. I think right now he's finishing up 2 restorations for customers, which were extremely done well and built pretty much to last. I'm always impressed with his rebuilds. Unfortunately, we didn't have any photos here to share. There are some photos that are available through the Facebook page. If you go
Yes.
to day 3, and we show some more photos from Simtech. There's some great photos in there if you want to kind of go through and check those out. But again, check out Simtech Motorsports. If you're looking to get a vehicle restored in your area, or if you want to just or if you're looking for something extremely rare, right-hand drive, Roadster or Datsun S30, if he can definitely try to find you something or anything that you need. There was tons of rare, like right-hand drive Roadsters, S30s that were kind of in one of the many Quonsets or storage buildings that were there. But yeah, very cool place to
Yes.
go check out.
Very
From
cool.
there, we
From
made our way on to what next, Mike?
Oklahoma. This was the stop that I wanted to make. So I every once in a while, and it had been a while. I did know that we were going to be traveling through Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a state where you're allowed to gamble, specifically on the reservations that are nearby. So I went ahead and found a local casino as soon as we crossed the Red River, and I told you guys, I was like, man, let's grab some dinner, let's gamble a few dollars, let's have some fun. So it's exactly what we did. We went out to let's take a look here. This was uh, oh, Windstar Casino here off of the Red River. Of course,
Well,
it's
before we did that, did we go to the 240Z Guild?
No, that was after.
After.
That was after.
My apologies.
Yeah.
After. No worries, no worries. So the our gambling night in general was a lot of fun. I mean, I think we must have spent about 4 or 5 hours. Which, when you do it for one night, you don't want to expect to lose too much. You don't want to. We didn't want to have to gamble away the Multima, the rental car. We couldn't go that far. So, yeah. I think.
Yeah, we had a good time. I mean,
Yeah.
I would recommend it again. I mean, the Keith Urban dining experience was pretty interesting, but for those that don't know, I guess he bought into that particular frame. We had a good time.
I
think
enjoyed it.
I ate
Yeah.
way more food than I needed to eat at that location. So
No
kudos.
doubt.
Lots and lots of fun for sure. I honestly was. I'm a big fan of roulette, so that's where That's where I was. I literally just found a seat and I sat there for about 3 hours having some
Yeah.
fun. I actually was down a pretty decent amount, and this was the last bet of the night. I threw down the most money, all the money I had left. I literally, because I told myself, this is how much money I have. If I lose it, I'm okay. And it was the last bet of the night, and I bet it all, and I end up, for the night as a whole, I only lost about $40. Not bad. I mean,
Oh.
for 3 to 4 hours of fun, I
I
consider it
made
worthy.
$160 playing South Park.
And that was
Yes.
amazing watching. Yeah, you were riding that wave, And wow,
Yeah.
you got in there pretty good
Right
there
here.
towards the end.
That's it. It's the pythons. They're just lucky pythons. That's how it was. So moving on.
Great
We
time
had a
though.
pretty
Yeah.
good night. Yeah, we ended up like being good boys because we still had to do some road traveling the next day. We went back to our Airbnb, and then we in the middle of the woods, a little
The cabin. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was really crazy trying to find. I think we passed
Uh,
that place like what 6 times or something.
No, I found it, and you passed it 6 times. Moving on. But I knew how to follow directions. All right. But the next
Yes.
morning we had to leave because this was actually the morning where we were supposed to be at the Branson Z Fest. But we did manage to make a very special stop along the way.
Yes.
So, for reasons of privacy, we're not going to give you the full details of where we stopped in as far as actual location, but we went into the 240Z Guild along the way. They were nice enough to give us a full tour. We hadn't seen them since Colorado's done.
Zcon. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we stopped in and they gave us the full tour, which consisted of a multitude of different buildings and different like secret passages with cars kind of spot. So we stopped in and yeah, we saw everything. And it was, if you thought SimTech was jaw dropping through the photos, if you go back and look through them, the 240Z Guild was pretty amazing.
And this was actually a really quite cool surprise along the way because we weren't actually supposed to go along the way where this place was. We were just kind of driving along, and I was actually about to take a left.
Yeah, we were hunting, but we were not hunting for it.
Yeah.
So it just so happened that it fell in line with what we were looking to, the route we were trying to find, and luckily we found it, and you know, we ran into our fellows there, and they were nice enough to give us a route, give us a tour. I mean, on the list, some amazing cars. I think out of the first 240Z, I think it was number 30. What was the number on that?
Number 20.
It was number 20, yeah.
That's actually number
Datsun
20.
number 20 in
20.
beautiful mint condition.
And but you know, don't drool too hard. I think it actually just sold. Pretty much everything in that lobby had already pretty much been sold at this point, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
there was actually a magazine that this car was in. I think there was a shot
it actually
in
became a Car and Driver. It's actually in there, and you know. Everything that I was kind of drooling on and kind of going over was that, yeah, you like that car? It's sold.
It's
you
sold.
Like that? Just sold 2 weeks ago. So
Too
literally,
bad.
they sell so many cars that they can't keep anything. So on that note, if you do have an immaculate S30 and you're looking to get top dollar for it and have somebody kind of adjust the small details for it, talk to the 240Z Guild. They put cars up in their shop and they do try to sell them for their customers. There was some amazing cars that were there. They had obviously you're looking at the Datsun 280Z Zap car. That is there. The Bob Sharp 280 that's right there. That is a great car. You took us a lot of the details on it. Go ahead, Mike.
I've never seen one.
Same here. This was the first time I had really been introduced to the Bob Sharp Edition S30, and there was a very, very small number of these produced, much less still in existence, which was really, really cool to see. Very nice, unique paint job. Did you have other information on the Ion? Do you recall what made it special? What else made it special, or was it just a paint?
There was a paint. There was also the interior. The upholstery was actually very specific.
Yeah.
If you go back, I think one picture.
The seats. Yeah, it's pretty much the arrow. Yeah. It's the
had a
arrow
very
on the
interesting
car
trim.
and the seats and the interior. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's
then,
nothing special on the motor.
No, there wasn't too much that was done on the motor. Surprisingly, it was really meant to be an aesthetic arrow, an aesthetic.
With a slight arrow.
They did have another version of that car that was the bad boy, but yeah, they did a very good. That car is just well maintained. There's so much like little Bob Sharp detail in it. If you go through my photos from Facebook. From the Facebook page, I took a lot of the small details of like the steering wheel, the shift knobs, some of that uber rare, hard to find stuff is in there, and then some autographs from Mr. Sharp as well. I think was in that car.
There was one other thing that was in there. It had the 8-track radio plus the CB.
CB, yeah,
Yes,
Yeah,
and it
these
had
cars
all
do
of that
have the
included.
CB radios. Yeah.
very
So
very unique.
yeah, we were able to kind of walk around the back area, and then we went on to the shop area where they actually do full restorations. This was just some of the vehicles that they kind of had outside that are going through the process.
Just
Most
hanging out.
This
Huge
is actually
warehouse.
what attracted me to the area to begin with. I was driving by, saw this out of the corner of my eye, and radioed back and said, "Guys, we need to stop."
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's go into there's a few shots of some of the interior of the shop. They do have lots of parts. Man, there was just if you're looking for a Datsun 240Z seat original, there
yeah.
is an entire room full of seats in this place. Car. I mean, you can. There was so much stuff there.
Yeah.
That just was kind of blowing my mind.
This
This just in the corners of everywhere. There was L24s, there were stuff, there were L28s, and there was just so much stuff. I
this
was nerd.
was oh for sure. I mean, the showroom, the first building that had all the nice pristine, that the showroom was a treat on its own. And then when we find this is where all the real work is taking place. The body shop, again, all these parts, maybe engine teardowns and whatnot. That's, I mean, dude, I felt like I had the greatest time just
I was
nerding over.
flabbergasted. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it's it's completely dedicated to the 240Z. I mean, it's just
Yep.
it. I mean, that's just what they do. Someone's found a business where that's exactly what they do because that's what they love, and I was just happy for the Z Guild for being able to do this. Make a
yeah,
living doing it.
and they've been putting out some quality rebuilds and restorations for quite some time. I just never had an opportunity to actually see where they work, and it is a quality operation. It's a very historic building setup. The original owner, you did own this shop. Originally, it was a Triumph shop until they were restoring Triumphs for many years, and just decided to try their hand at something a little bit of a different passion, which drew them into the restoring the Datsuns, which they'd always had a hand in, but never dedicated the time to. And
Yeah.
so they ultimately adapted all these buildings from being a motorcycle repair facility into a full on restoration facility for
Yep.
Datsuns. And the building itself has a lot of history, which in that small town carries a lot of weight. So had a great time kind of going through everything, looking at all the detail. There is some stuff that we can't quite show you because
Yeah.
due to privacy by some of their clients.
Yeah.
But again, what
Yeah.
we could release, we did put in some of our Facebook posts that you can go back and check through. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of super nerdy detail stuff if you want to cope with.
Wasn't one of their shops or one of the buildings an old armory, the town armory or something like that?
Yeah, that's the where we're at. Looking at to the left, but yeah, we're not going to have a lot of detail on that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
right. It was so.
It was amazing.
Again, kudos to the 240Z Guild for hosting us and giving us an opportunity to go through everything. We had a blast.
We did.
And from there, we did have to start skedaddling out because we had a bit of a drive to make it out to Branson Z Fest from this
Yes.
point on. And go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So from there, from having left that, so we actually had a really nice lunch, by the way. But having left there, then it became one of the largest parts of our drive, where we drove straight into Branson that night. And I gotta say, the roads that we picked getting into Branson, especially as sunset was coming out, beautiful drive. By the time you got to the hotel, you felt you'd already experienced a good part of the event. It was just a lot of fun. We traveled through Oklahoma and through Arkansas, and to get to the southern part of Missouri. And honestly, I hadn't been through these areas before. When I think of Oklahoma, I think of Twister, which is very flat land, right? Tornado country. Not very. There's no hills or
Fun
everything's
roads.
flat. Right. I'm completely wrong. I mean, I see Oklahoma now, also Arkansas, as just being completely different. Just some very nice roads traveling into Branson. So we got into Branson that night. Oh shoot, we got in there. It was about sundown, so we didn't have much to do that night. But I mean,
It was
we
about
did.
8:30 or something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Everything was in full effect though. Everybody was out at that point. So I think I've got
We
some
got
pictures.
in,
Also.
and then we hit the local IHOP for amazing pancakes. Meow. Because we had to eat something because we didn't get a chance to eat anything on the road. So we hit the local IHOPs and did whatever the hell we were doing. But yeah, these are some of the photos when we had first arrived to the event. But it was in full swing by the time we started driving through to our hotel room. So yeah, it was great.
Oh yeah. So from here, guys, what I want to do before we get into our project that we took on, let's just talk about the event. I really wanted to talk about each of our impressions, not only of Branson Z Fest, but of Branson itself. What we were able to experience, the people, the roads. We've kind of talked about the roads just a little bit, but I know we've got a lot more to do. I gotta say, Branson, the people of Branson are very, very laid back. Uh, they'll let you do anything if you just ask them nicely. It was so cool to see. And it just I enjoyed it. How about you, Ion? What did you think about Branson?
Yeah, I had the same experience, especially on the drives and whatnot. Just running into some of the folks out and about, they were very easy to talk to, super cool. Plus, the folks that actually came to the fest, oh man, like it seemed like everybody that I was talking to was just it was just so much fun just talking to each and every one of them. I think I made a whole bunch of new friends. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, we were asking the locals like this, or a lot of people who came to Branson Z Fest are obviously from the area, so we were asking around. A lot of times we were asking them what do you think of Branson? What's the local? What do the locals say about Branson? And they were saying it's kind of like what Las Vegas would be like if it was run by Ned Flanders. And I was just like, it's wholesome. It's wholesome, and I agree to that. I mean, there was attractions everywhere, billboards promoting either a concert or a comedian or a magician or a museum. Very unique museums out there. There's a Titanic museum of all things out there. It was just really cool
Yeah,
to see, man.
missed that one.
There's a lot of craziness going on with the local route, but honestly, it's a great backdrop for Branson Z Fest. They really chose a great location because it's, for one, the road. Any direction you pick, the roads are amazing.
For hours.
For hours, and
Yeah.
then there's food all around. There's always tons of shows to check out. So just a little nod to the Branson Z folks. I mean, there's definitely something always to do in Branson. And then for me, it's definitely like kind of a welcome home type of feeling, which is a rarity to get at some car events.
Yeah.
When we first got there, I guess maybe it was just the roads getting in. We'd already gotten that piss and vinegar out in the steering wheel our way in, and we were just already relaxed. I was, as soon as we kind of got there, we were already just fitting into our relaxed mode. We knew we had some business to take care of as we move forward, but again, the event just felt relaxing from the get-go, which is a hard thing to accomplish when you're getting there. And just everybody was there, was welcoming, beer in hand, welcoming kind of thing. So I had a good time. So just in my first day or two, I had a blast. So yeah, it was awesome. So
For sure. By the way, these photos were compliments here of Ion. A lot of these pictures I know were yours. I believe we also I want to give credit to Chris Carl for taking a lot of high resolution photos that you guys see here. So shout out to you guys for doing that.
And there are a lot of photos of Branson Z Fest that you can check out. Also, a kudos out to Spring Roll Films, who actually came out and shot the event for the entire week. Benjamin and his crew. Benjamin is the shiz.
Who actually had a birthday while we were out there.
Yes.
He did, and He didn't care about his birthday. He just wanted to shoot Branson. Oh, so kudos to him. Super nice guy. I can't say enough amazing things about him. Super accomplished photographer as well, who does a lot of film and media and things like that. So to get somebody of his caliber to lend themselves to Branson just off sheer passion alone is it says a lot. So kudos to Benjamin if you're listening. We love you. Again, thanks for the sticker. And thanks for the lunch. So yeah, kudos. So
Very, very cool. So getting into the event though, like I said, so in our last episode we sat and spoke with Josh and Cade from Branson, and what I remember the most is that they said it was very cruise oriented for one, and that it was very laid back. And those are kind of the two words that stuck with me, even as we were entering. And honestly, it's 100% the truth. It's been a while since I've been to a event like this of this level, and it's sort of like, oh, do whatever you want. I mean, we have some things, but if you have your own agenda, go for it. Have some fun. We're gonna be over here playing, Jenga and Pong with trash cans. Like they have these giant level, games, and um, uh, everybody's kind of doing their own thing. So, and the way these hotel or this motel was arranged, it's the perfect layout. I haven't seen any other event with this side of layout. So you're just kind of like in this nest of everybody who they think very similar. They love the same things you love, and they brought their car to share with you. So all you got to do is just literally walk outside your hotel room, and you're immediately welcomed and accepted, and just you're immediately drawn into a conversation about a particular car or whatever the topic may be, though. But what do you guys think?
I mean, I want to add on to it's not just like it's not just about a cruise or just being laid back. Like the people are just out there, just always up for a chat. I mean, into the wee hours of the night, morning. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yep. And it's some of them are like old friends that I've from folks that I've known for years past. There's a bunch that I hadn't seen ever. There's some that I'd only talked to online. Yeah,
yes,
it was a great combination. So it was great hanging out with them all.
That's true. You're right. There's a lot of people, especially leading up into the event, that we were added on Facebook or whatnot, and to finally meet them in person, and then much less all the new friend requests that we got after the event. I mean, it was
for sure.
Oh, dude, it's well over a dozen for me. I mean, it's just and these are actually people we literally had a lot of time to hang out with throughout the entire was it 5 or 6 days that we were there. So I mean,
I missed the 521. I saw the 620, but I missed the 521.
Yeah, and that was the thing. What I wanted to do is I wanted to share just some of the few pictures that I was able to collect. Obviously, there were thousands and thousands of photos that were taken, so I can only share so many, right? So, but this was a nice one. I really enjoyed this one. I mean, not only was the color draws you in, but it's the HR motor VQ. Beautiful build. Yeah. Every generation Z, but it was more than just a Z Fest. Like you saw, there were some Datsun pickups. We had our Multima sitting pretty for a while there. Anyway,
there's we ended up working on Cade's car and whatnot, but it seemed like we weren't the only people working on cars, right? I mean, there's so many people just working on their own little projects on either their car or there's a whole ant crew of people just pitching in.
Well, and you're right, and we were told, even as we get into this whole build story, we were told that this is the idea of doing some sort of build or swap or repair in the parking lot. It's nothing new. It's almost a tradition at this point. I mean, Branson's been around. Yep. This event's been happening since 03, 04, and there seems to be every year something a similar story. So yeah, people. It seemed like people were actually waiting to travel hundreds of miles to do certain work.
For sure.
Just so they can do it with their friends.
But
just
cool,
to do it
yeah.
with their friends, So yeah, you're right. And I mean, that's kind of how, all of us become really good friends. It's because we connect on doing some sort of job together, So that's I understand exactly where they're coming from,
Yep.
Before we forget, there was a really good aerial shot. Of course, you can see here the cars in the layout here of the BZF layout. Tons of cars coming in, so that was pretty enjoyable. The cruises. So Miles, you and myself, we did go on one cruise, which was Little Golden Gate. Pretty modest cruise in terms of duration. I want to say, and by modest I mean like 3 hours, maybe 3.5. 4 hours, but I mean I know there were much longer cruises along the way. Ion, you went onto the Highway 125 cruise. I think the following day.
Yep.
What did you think about your experience with the cruises?
So I actually had done that during the Z-Con that was there several years prior. But
Okay.
I felt like this one was a little bit more elongated. Plus, we had a couple of interesting incidents that happened along the way. But that aside, had a great time. Had a ton of fun hanging out with. There were 3 other Z32s other than mine, and that was just super refreshing. There's my buddy Arif right behind me.
Yep.
And so yeah, it was good stuff.
That's some good stuff, man. That's the 125 run is what I definitely want to go and try next time. I wasn't able to, but I will be back. This is an event that I do plan on attending, more often. Again, just because of how laid back it is and affordable. It's very affordable. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's for sure. I really want to attend more and more of the cruises and whatnot. I know there were some ad hocs that were out there that we ended up not going on, but yeah, I definitely would like to do that, in the next time I go.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, go ahead, Miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say, kudos. So, but let's move into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about.
Oh.
Hey, before that, actually, both of you guys need to take a Z along.
Yes,
right.
Next time. Yeah, I've already been making plans to get the my Z back on the road here.
Excuse.
Miles, you got no excuse there. Come on.
I just didn't feel like driving my Z cross country.
Uh-huh.
With that big Ultimate Energy drive, and that's what we did. I wanted to get dirty into the rentals, so I did that. I'm happy and contento.
All right, nitty gritty.
So, I guess, let's talk a little bit about what we kind of volunteered for while we were at Branson this year. So I'll let you kind of explain it, Mike.
So I forget. I forget who brought it up first. However, once the idea was brought up, it just caught like wildfire. We were talking with Josh and Cade during the last episode of ours, and the idea was, hey, well, I've got this Z32 twin turbo that the engine is needs to be replaced. So I have this engine, haven't put it in yet. And someone said, well, and it's true, Ion, Miles, myself, we're all Z32 300ZX owners. We've done an engine swap or two, more than that, and we're all pretty comfortable having fun and with this car, doing the work, putting in the time. And so the idea came, well, what if we bring this car into the parking lot of the hotel, would we want to do the work and actually swap this engine out, or at least prepare the engine and install it? The engine had already been pulled, so that's exactly what we did. I mean, now Cade was one who really set everything up. He's the one who had to do the logistics, get the car to the lot, make sure all the parts were ordered in time. Which was a huge undertaking on its own, just because there was so little time. Much less he was busy helping prepare for the show. He was busy running the show with Josh and the team. So very busy guy leading up into to the events. And then once we showed up, now it was our turn to hold our end of the promise. And so, yeah, this is the first picture we have here. This is the day one, I believe. We were, well, sorry, not day one, but very close. We were had the car on jacks. We were preparing the engine bay, and then now we had two engines that we had to take various parts from each one to make a complete engine with all the upgrades and additions to the engines. But who wants to go first? Who wants to talk?
Miles, go for it.
What am I supposed to be talking about? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh my god. There you go.
Yeah, it was work. So I guess let's just start with what we had. I mean, luckily the engine was already out, which saved us a little bit of time. Of course, if you think about it, we got started a little bit late. You know, we arrived on, I don't know what date that was, Tuesday. Wednesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
We arrived Tuesday. We didn't do anything Tuesday night because we were still, car hadn't been unloaded yet. So Wednesday mid-afternoon is when the car pretty much came to us. We were able to put it on stands and see what we had to work with. We first get the engine, and it's a JDM engine. So for those that don't know, I'm going to give you a little lesson on JDM engines because I've done a lot of JDM engines. So JDM engines, and I'll give you a history lesson while we're at it. JDM engines used to come as a clip years ago. So all these 240SX or S13 boys that used to do this, a long time ago, you got a clip, which is basically everything from just in front of the dash was chopped. You got all the good stuff, the wiring harness, the ECU, the tranny, the engine, the front headlights, the hood, the fenders, brakes, and cross member. You got it all. But some of you fools decided to take those front clips and were lazy and just weld them to your trash S13s, and those fell apart on the highway, killing people, causing havoc, crazy. They stopped selling clips, so you needed to pull the engines and the transmissions out. So, hence buying a JDM engine. This is the way you get them. So now you buy JDM engines. So JDM engines sit like they've always sat on docks in Japan or in warehouses that usually half the time are uncovered. So when you buy a JDM engine, you have to understand that sometimes it can come with problems. You have to be expectant of those problems and the concerns that come with them. This one actually was, in the photos, it looked amazing. But then when we actually got it in front of us, it was a little rougher than wear. Not a big deal, but these things happen. You just have to expect them. With our JDM engine, and this kind of goes into probably one of my favorite moments of Branson, we discovered that there was a rat's nest right pretty much in the middle of those of that galley.
Right,
That
here.
was fun.
Yeah, and if you look, there's a great photo of Mike D. Before we had to take this whole thing apart, literally just jamming his hand inside of there with the most look on his face. And he's literally scooping. There it is.
Oh,
And
that's it.
like he's trying to get the guts out of a turkey. He's trying to scoop out basically.
Hey, and there's Bling Tony just laughing his ass off.
Yeah, because it was disgusting. Mike bitched about that for an hour.
It took me 45 minutes to clear out that V section, man.
Yeah, it was rat turds, a combination of rat's nests, rat turds, dead rats, and then rusty freeze plugs. That were pissed rot. Yeah,
that was fun to deal with later.
Yes, because obviously being a parking lot build on a very limited schedule, before we even kind of got this deep into the project, we were thinking to ourselves, okay, are we really doing freeze plugs? Let's assess the situation. Let's not try to do too much work if we can avoid it. There was no avoiding specifically the freeze plugs inside that V section. But dude,
funny, as you began to scrape away the freeze plug, it would just layer and a layer.
Yeah.
And
there was a hole in the freeze plug. We were like,
and we And we couldn't do that to Cade, quite
Yeah.
honestly. He bought this engine in good faith. Sometimes these things happen, but guess what? We were the right guys at the right time to fix it. Me and Mike D have had enough experience with these to where we said, you know what? Let's get the freeze plugs. Let's start doing everything else. So the idea with this engine was to take this JDM engine and pretty much do every seal that we possibly could, other than the head gaskets, and redo the timing,
Yes.
redo everything for rear main seals. Every seal that we could get access to easily, we were going to do. And we bought the full kit. And kudos to Cade for agreeing to buy all of that. Then from there, we said, you know what? We're in for a penny, we're in for a pound was kind of the slogan for the week. So we just said, and these JDM engines that again sit on docks are usually very salt corroded, which this one was extremely salt corroded, which we'll go into. I'll go into a little bit further. You see all the pitting. The water that was in this engine had been sitting for a year, 2 years. Ion was like, "We're not.
Yeah.
This ain't gonna fly with me. We got the freeze plugs open. Let's
Yeah.
core clean." And that's what we
Yeah.
did actually here. We cleaned out the entire core. We ran water through it. Which was hysterical because the only water hose that we could find was in the wash line for all the detail cars. So there's a line of Z's that's lined up, and then we and four of us roll up with this engine. We don't have a car. We just have an engine on an engine stand, and we steal the water hose for about 10 minutes, and we're literally dumping out all the water in the core. It was hilarious. Bling
This-
Tony, who's right there wiping his face,
Yeah.
was laughing hysterically. He thought it was the craziest thing he'd ever seen. But
And this picture does not do enough justice.
no, it was black. It was black as midnight. It was horrible.
And I don't think it was 10 minutes. I think it was closer to 20. We were pushing out some seriously awful liquids from there.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And besides, because between draining the oil, draining all the, it wasn't bad news. It was just kind of what I expect with JDM engines from time to time. You have to know that you're going to have to do all that work. The only thing you're really ever getting with a JDM engine is you better get good compression, because that's the only thing you're paying for.
Yep.
Otherwise you got to take your engine and send it off and just wait the 3 months or however long it's going to take you to get back. But going back to our story, we really had to get into the heart of this matter. So we said, you know what, we're going to fully clean the interior of this thing and take it completely apart. Do all the bypasses that we know are going to need to be done on day one. So we set up a table. We had our donor motor, and then we had our JDM motor, and we started taking everything off and find out what was the better one of the two that wasn't rusted out completely, because some of these parts we would take off and they were just rusted solid or pinhole rust, and we're going to cause minor leaks and issues. Now, this is where I want to give a shout out to all the detail work.
Everybody.
What you see here
everybody pulled together.
What you see here is two engines just side by side, but the amount of detail work that needed to go into that engine to make it enough, to make it at the level that all three of us were, and other Z32 people that were there that were comfortable in saying that's the right way to do that, was astounding. That probably set us back by about a day and a half, but it was
just the right cleaning.
Cleaning, and it was the right way to do it. This is where I want to give a special shout out, and I've said this more than once, and I'll give him a shout out every time I see him. But Bling Tony. And Bling Tony got his name for literally spending an entire weekend of his vacation scraping rust off parts and in an evapor rust bucket in front of him. That was it.
That chair, he sat in that thing for an entire solid day.
No,
yes, he did.
I don't think he moved.
2 days.
About two and a half days. Bling Tony sat there with evapor rust, scraping everything by hand with a Scotch-Brite pad. He went through 6 Scotch-Brite pads in that time period, and then 5 brushes. I mean, and everything came out immaculate.
It was
for
amazing.
A bucket wash.
I was amazed.
Yeah.
So kudos to him. He will forever be known as Bling Tony.
Bling Tony, because again, he made those parts shine. That's why he's called Bling Tony. So that's the thing.
Now, when it comes to nuts and bolts, kudos for those. Anybody has to do a restoration project in a parking lot. Evaporust, evaporust, evaporust.
For sure.
Old Gatorade bottles. We would fill them. We would fill them with evaporust, and we would dump nuts and bolts into them,
Yes.
and then they would become maracas.
Yeah.
And now about this time we had an entire, and you can scan out to a couple photos, and there's a bunch of people that are just really sitting there watching us work, putting an engine together, not helping, but just kind of really just trash talking us. So I decided to incorporate workers. So with these Gatorade bottles filled with nuts and bolts, we sent out about, I don't know, 8 or 10 Gatorade bottles and said, shake these up for an hour since you got time on your hands. So they'd have a beer in a hand, they'd have a shaking Gatorade bottle.
Yeah.
That would be drinking and shake waiting for an hour. Some guys home with some biceps that weekend. So, yeah, those people were very instrumental in helping us up with all the nuts and bolts and detail. There was a lot of people that kind of came and helped out throughout the entire week, but that's where we started getting into. Now, if you see this right here, if you kind of go back, there was a lot of like corrosion pitted on the valve covers. The valve covers and the upper plenum would just looked horrible. The upper plenum that was on the original engine was actually broken. So we decided to actually fully restore the upper plenum too as well, which required basically sanding, painting, the whole bit. So now we're in for painting, which adds on about another half day for us.
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to a few more guys that actually came through at this point. So we're just taking stuff apart and cleaning. Now, as you dig into further photos, you can see we're stacking up the parts and picking and choosing and then cleaning from there. So
Justin Eastman was amazing for that, wasn't he? Yeah,
there he is, man. Yeah.
Justin told me, he goes, and he just walked up to me and he's like, Miles, I want you to know one thing about me. I'm an amazing painter. I was like, okay, you just got hired. I'm not even going to check your qualifications. So he goes, so I said, look, I'm going to prep I told him I'm an amazing prepper. So between Bling Tony doing all the small detail work and then me sanding and scrubbing everything, and then Mike D, actually, I want to give a shout out to as well. He was nice enough to take all the cast aluminum, all the crudded up oil filled stuff, and he used our tried and true easy off oven spray.
Yes.
Car parts, take it to a coin op car wash, spray everything down, you bring it back, and it looks 100% better. Now we took that a step above that, and Justin East, and this is how we got everything back from the car wash, which
dude, an hour and a half at the car wash, about $20 in an hour and a half. Yeah.
For anybody else, that is an amazing job. You can pretty much throw that in an engine and it'll look great like that. We took those and took those above another level. We went out and bought VHT primer paint, cast aluminum paint, and then satin, I think it was a low gloss black. The VHT primer paint you can pick up on O'Reilly's. I highly recommend that stuff. The finish, this is the primer, and you can see some of our finish work as we get a little further down. But Justin loved the product. He was familiar with it. He started shooting everything. As you can see, he laid down some primer. Now he's laying down some of this black, which is the same color that originally it came from Nissan. All those parts came out amazing. And as you'll see when we get a little further down the detail, kudos to him on that. Let's keep going down the line. Now, about this, we're about day 2 into this engine build. So we only have really about maybe 3.5 days worth of actual work. For those that don't know, we started coming down a little sicky. We'll say we were kind of sitting at a half mast, if you will. Ion was the first among us to basically get, I'll call it, the squirts.
TMI, man. TMI. Hey.
Saying Ion did get the squirts. He was the first out for the day. He was actually out for a full 23 hours, I think is the math, when everything was said and done. He was bedridden, pretty much down. Me and Mike D hadn't felt the effects yet. We eat a little more tacos in the rougher parts of town. We have we have stronger guts than
No,
Little
yeah.
Onion. So we kept working. We were one man down, but kudos to everybody else that stepped up and put in the time on that day while poor Ion was taking some much needed rest. We
I-
continue to move forward through the process.
I do want to call out one thing before we keep on going,
Yeah.
Miles, because this is right around the same time, this whole prepping and painting scenario, where we did make one quick stop, and we encouraged a lot of people at Branson to come in and sign their names on the underside of that freshly painted plenum.
Yeah, so we finished up the plenum. I had an opportunity to do all the bypasses and everything on it in the way that I normally like it. And then people just kind of kept stopping in, stopping and signing, which was a cool little Easter egg that we had for Mr. K that we didn't tell him about until much later on when we were getting close to installing it. But yeah, the engine was starting to come together at this point. After that night, I think everybody kind of got together and signed it. So kudos to everybody for coming through with signing and really helping out at that point too as well.
Yep.
Now the next day that kind of went into it, me and Mike started feeling a little under the weather, and Ion. I
He was
think
100% at that point. Yeah.
100%. He hit a cruise, and then he came back and started swinging at it. So we kept up our momentum and kept going through with everything. Let's go on the next set of photos, and we started kind of slowly piecing
Now,
and putting everything back together. Now
yes,
the real
this
work
was
begins.
right. This is where the assembly starts to kick in. So some of the pictures, again, I'll show the before photo one more time here. This is when the engine was sort of recently broken down, hadn't been cleaned yet. And the next photo I have here is of us putting the timing gears on, back covers, new water pump, new timing components. How about that?
That's a big difference, right? And we
Huge
spent a lot of
difference.
time compression cleaning. Like we actually clean everything with brushes externally.
Tons.
I mean, some of it's a little rat, but you know, we actually had an opportunity to kind of do it all the right way. So I think everything came out the right with us starting to put all the detail stuff all together. So we keep moving on from here. But yeah, getting it prepped for the timing. Valve covers were on,
Mhm.
lower plenum. So yeah, let's keep going on. I won't nerd out on too much details, but Ion actually, I think Mike D at this point was pretty much in full squirt mode. I was a little about half mast. I needed to take a few hours. Ion took the lead from here and really started making up for lost time and stepping up and doing the detail work a little bit around this time. So
So after right around this point, we brought the belt on. We've got the intake put on. Ion, I want to say you took care of the complete front end, the timing covers, the water, the hard pipes, all that, the turbochargers, turbos.
And Blink Tony's still in the corner this whole time cleaning.
Did not skip a beat the entire
Yeah,
time.
he was just off to the side, just
all weekend, cleaning. All weekend, just cleaning. All right, kudos. Moving on.
Yeah. Yep. Next photo I have here is honestly us beginning to prepare the actual install. So this is probably this is the last day. This is the Saturday. I think at this point the awards had already been taken care of. Everybody's really winding down.
Cade finished up everything. Josh and Cade just finished up everything. He literally finished up everything and then ran over so we could try to get this engine freaking installed. So as you can see, we got a lot of goodies on it. Z-Spec was nice enough to throw some stuff for us. Z1 Motorsports supplied us with the hose kit. We got a great clutch that actually Mike helped design the flywheel on.
Yeah, it was really small world. Yeah, getting to have fun with some things from the past. That was good.
Yeah. So here we are. I think we started putting on the final countdown soundtrack in the background, and then
we did.
Yeah, actually, before this, towards the end of the award ceremony, do have a quick shout out to Casey with Nissan, who brought the new Nissan Z. So we ended up getting an award, which really this belongs to everybody out at Branson who helped out, not just us.
Casey
True.
Kilmer with Nissan actually brought out the new Z. And can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so Casey Kilmer with Nissan actually brought out the new Z for this year, so people could kind of get an opportunity to look at it and get some great shots of it running through Branson Z Fest. Casey's a good friend of the show, a really nice guy. He is also a heavy Z32 owner as well. He's a Z32 nerd, just like some of us, but he was not. I mean, he was just kind of baffled at seeing the engine out, and we gave him an opportunity to turn a few wrenches with us and
Yeah.
start to get an idea of what it's like to work on one of these VG engines when it's out. He was kind of blown away that we would be, and I think he said, he goes, "You guys are nuts." And
I do remember him saying
huge
that.
words. And he kind of came over the few days. So Casey had Nissan was actually given an award to give out for their choice for the week, and we were awarded it
That
for
was us.
our efforts. The Nissan Nerd Podcast was awarded that for the week for attempting to get this, or getting as far as we could for helping out Mr. Cade and moving on. So yeah, a good note. I totally forgot about that, Ion. And so moving on to install
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
let's get into the money shot.
The money
So
shot.
the money shot. So here we are. We've got this engine that we've got to install now. Literally, we are on the last day of this time. I mean, time had set us back. All this detail work had set us back, but in my mind, we put together an amazing engine that I was proud of to put in the car. I mean, it set us back, and given about another day, we've got it further. But we were able to get this engine in with no problems, start getting things hooked up, and then as the sun started setting, we were getting to the point where we could install the engine. A couple things were starting to set us back. Of course, we were very tired at this point. Again, still recovering from some tummy issues, and we did have everybody kind of come together to try to help out. So a lot of people came together at this last point to make sure that we can get an engine in and get as far as we could. But I think when we got the engine in, it came out great. It looked amazing in the engine bay.
Dude. Again, if
We
you think about those before photos, look at that.
Yeah, it came out great, and there was all the detail work that went into it. Again, I'm pretty happy and content with all the work that we put into that for the
For
weekend.
sure.
We said it many times during the build. It's the finest parking lot build you'll would have ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
It is true. We
That's
definitely
for sure.
we definitely nerded out on it for sure. So yeah, kudos to everybody that was involved in having a hand on it. But yeah, I was happy with it. It went in like a charm. It went in with no problems. I think with about another 6 or 8 hours with actual daylight,
Yep.
that would have been not a problem to all put together. So I hope Mr. Cade's
We
all
were
happy.
so close.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We were right there. Honestly, you would have given us another half day, it would have been fine. We would have been driving it around. So
Absolutely, man. I mean, I'm very proud of it. I'm happy we're able to do this. It's definitely it's a memory we'll always have. I know I'll always have. Getting. But I will say, guys, next time, oil change at the most.
I'm thinking valve stem replacements. Yeah, I mean it's keeping it pretty small. I do want to go back to comments a few things.
Yes, tons of comments. Thank you, guys.
Oh,
Go ahead.
man.
We had tons of comments. I'm going to go far back. Let me see here. Matthew Lahone actually said, "What's up?" Just a shout out to him. Josh
Yes.
wanted to talk about the Ultima. He goes, "This Ultima." He goes, "I was like, who's this guy in the Ultima jumping the line of the cruise, throwing my count off?" And I was like, "Yeah, we did it."
That was yeah. That was me. That was me. Guilty as charged.
Yeah. We did big Ultima energy on that. My apologies. And let me see here, and I want to go on to the next thing. Let's talk a little bit. He goes, Let's see here. With this for the hotel manager. Okay. Cade, basically, who's the owner of this vehicle, who we volunteered to assist, said, "You guys really rock for this one." Again, for anyone reading comments, seeing everyone come together the way they did was really amazing. And I can't thank everyone enough, truly. Yeah, no big deal, Cade. We're happy to help. So,
Yeah.
Oh, for
um,
sure.
Let's get you running, man.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes. Not
you're
Yeah.
right there.
We're on
Honestly,
the home stretch.
do it. Call us if you need a live stream or Skype on that. We can get you through, walking you through the final details. But
Yeah,
you're
let's
right.
get on this.
So, let me see here. Bert said, "Is this positive or negative in regards to JDM engines?" Honestly, it's a moot point. It's all about how bad your engine is. If you grenaded your engine, guess what? JDM isn't that half bad. But guess what? If you've got low compression numbers in the future, and then you've got the time, then maybe that's something to consider for a rebuild versus the opportunity for a JDM engine. It also depends on cost. At some point a long time ago, JDM engines, even full, almost damn near clips with transmissions, you could get for around 2,500, $3,000. Now the price tag on these things has gone up tremendously. So maybe you just weigh your options. Just a little word of advice to anybody out there considering those. Just
Yeah.
make sure you weigh the cost benefit of that. And keep in mind, it's a JDM engine. You're still going to have tons of work to do. Still going to recommend replacing
Yes.
seals. So make sure you're doing a cost analysis for those things.
That was a good
Seals,
thing too. Yes.
make sure you check your compression. Just check everything.
A lot of people we were talking to throughout the time that we were there doing this work, many were saying like, "Oh man, we could, it could have just been a quick install, like just throw it in as is," and we're like, again, and this is where I guess a lot of our experience with this motor comes in.
Yeah.
Is just like there's so many things, especially with these timing belt style motors. It's just like
The interference. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and that too, and you can't afford to not do it, so
No.
This is one of those cars that demands detail. And yeah, you can get it in, and yeah, it'll run for you for about a month or two. But guess what? If you take the time to do it right, you're going to have less problems. Like clearing out all that sludge in a JDM engine or an engine that's been sitting for a while. Guess what? That funky, nasty water has got to go somewhere. So it's going to sit in your brand new twin core, triple core radiator.
yeah,
You just screwed
and go
yourself.
slosh around. Yeah.
And go slosh around. All the crappy oil that's in it, if you don't change it out, guess what? That's all now running through your oil cooler
I
system.
mean, forget that. Remember the oil pan was crushed, and the oil pickup as a result was also crushed.
Yeah,
Yep.
That could have grenaded it really fast.
These engines sit on pallets. Usually, sometimes they're not even supported from the pickup. You smash that, you only got about maybe 5 to 10 mils of space.
It's an iron block, one of the heavier Nissan engines around, and the oil pan is a big piece of tin. So yes, you got to be careful the way you set these things down on the ground, as opposed to like VQ motors, which are lighter and have more of a cast sidewall on their oil pans. So yes, it's very important how you sit these things down when they're not in the car. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Moving a few more things here.
Yeah.
Matthew said, "That's so cool you guys did that. Appreciate that, Matthew."
Thanks, man.
Kate actually chimed in and said, "Yeah, that's my plan over the next 4 days. Have some time off." Kudos.
Awesome, dude. Call us. Yeah.
Call us.
Yeah.
Call me. So
Call
let us
me.
know. Let me see here. Cade Martin's no parking lot build next year. Not from me anyway. Yeah, you're off the list. You're
You're 86. You're 86.
you're
at this
86. Yeah, you're not. You're on the naughty list at least for 5 to 10 years on Branson Z Fest. Yeah, that's it. Let's see here. What else? Jeremy Stillwell said, "Miles, great advice. Thanks, Jeremy."
Sure. Thanks, Jeremy.
Of course, Mr. Stillwell handled the Nissan Heritage Garage in Nashville, Tennessee. In the basement of the Alamo, he had all his hands on those goody things. So he is very familiar with these JDM engines and all those details and when it comes to that engine. So kudos. And yes, I would agree. So let's see here. What else do we have? There was something else that anybody else have anything from...
Oh man, when we started talking about Justin Eastman, and he's got some fans, man. Everybody's yelling out JLE right there.
Yeah, it was weird. There was like a group of girls that were kind of like, "Hey, Justin."
Hi.
I'm like, I'm not used to having a fan base anywhere I go, so yeah, it was interesting. So, yeah, and he was just like that. He was like that guy who puts the salt on the steaks, like it was just like that. Yeah, he was kind of like that with the
Yeah.
paint cans.
He's
No,
not Salt Bay. What do you want to call him? You want to call him what kind of Paint Bay? Yeah.
yeah, kudos. So, but yeah, I mean, overall in the event, we had a blast. Kudos to everybody who stepped up and helped out. I had a good time doing it. For us, it's never really work. I mean, we do these things. We work on VGs and Zs all the time, so it's never.
It's a labor of love, man. Honestly.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yep.
So, I do want to let's give some shout outs to some people here before we
Yes.
begin talking about this.
Mhm.
Go ahead. But before I do, I want to do one shout out here. I
Mhm.
did win a lot of prizes because I threw money into the raffle prizes because I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? If I can't go on any events, I'm going to take full advantage of the amazing raffles that they had here this year.
Yeah.
And I did. Out of those, I won some Z-Spec stuff. I won some amazing SPL stuff, who's also one of our first sponsors for Nissan Nerd Podcast. So thank you, SPL, for having amazing raffles. Also for now agreeing to be our sole sponsor for right now for the Nissan Nerd Podcast.
Woo!
Thank you for the hat, even though I had to win it in a raffle. Not saying anything. Mopley Rodell.
We
saying
we
should have
traded
to
our.
pay for hat.
They
should
traded
have
their
to-
dishwasher for our. Yeah.
Oh dear.
All right, we need to rep
Yeah.
the brand. Give us the free
Yes.
T-shirt. Give Mike the smalls. All right. So,
It's medium.
but I did want to give a
Medium.
shout out to a little small thing. And if you could give me the steering wheel, I did want to give a shout out to an amazing product that I did get from a small business that's kind of starting out here. Stabwood Products. I did win some of their raffle items. And
Okay.
can you see this?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Stabwood Products actually makes amazing woods products out of wood, primarily for the Z. So this is some of the things that they kind of put out. Now I was lucky enough to win the top two things here that are there. So I did get this Grady style shift knob, which I
Oh, wow.
absolutely love. It's actually made in a pale moon ebony, which you just don't see this kind of quality work anymore. So for all you guys out there with older Datsuns, or even hell, if you're into the newer Nissan stuff, some of this stuff that he makes is just amazing.
That's
I
beautiful.
absolutely love everything. I also won this guy right here, but everything that he kind of starts off with just straight pieces of wood, and he makes them all by hand. He churns everything by hand, and it's all like unique to you. This isn't like some crappy
Wow.
layover wood, or it's like some spray print crap. I mean, it's all very well done. All his resins are amazing. I mean, he starts off with these blocks of resins and whittle these down, and then he puts a cert in there. And I mean, these are just quality. When I saw them there at the table, I was like, hell yes, I'm going to try to win every single freaking one of these. And I dumped probably about $80 worth of raffle tickets in, and I won two. And I'm completely happy with that. Again, if you get a chance to check out some of their stuff, Stabwood Products, they make the top so you can drop in your little Datsun shift one. He also sends them with his own. But again, Stabwood Products, I highly recommend it. I love these. I have them planned to go in my own cars. Great feel. Again, that's all I'm going to say
Great.
about it. So a shout out. I'll give a
Awesome.
little shout out. Shut up and take my money. So that's
Very nice.
Good point. Good point. I do want to give out a shout out to a lot of people that we've met along the way, especially all of those who helped. I've got a small list, and I hope I didn't miss anybody. But if I do, I apologize in advance, of course. Now, of course, Blink Tony was definitely one of the higher up on that list. Dude, this guy traveled from Wisconsin, came all the way down to Branson, and literally was there doing. And it's not a it's a dirty job, and he did it, and he
Yes.
hung out with us the entire time, man.
But we had a
Definitely
great
want to
time
give pop.
talking about cars and BSing the whole time, and that's what
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah,
What we
it was
always talk about,
great.
like with
Yeah.
this podcast, just put us on the garage, forget about us, and we're back. We're background music. I mean, that's the thing we love to do. We love to be in
Yeah.
an environment where we're getting dirty,
Yeah.
greasy. Mike likes to put his hand in the rat poop. He was in his element. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I think as we were being able to talk with him too throughout the entire couple days there, we just realized that we were one of the same, man. We just he got it, man. We got him, he got us. You know, we definitely a friend for life at this point now. You know,
The twins.
the twins, the Otten twins, Jeffrey and Jeremy. Lots of help throughout the days that
even
we
have
had
birthdays.
there. They had the birthdays the same day, or Yeah.
along with Benjamin, that we celebrated their birthday. I love those guys. Super crazy, high energy, like squirrels on
They were
meth.
everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, and you gotta love those. We were at the more detail oriented stuff where we didn't always have a job for them to do, but they were always around, always willing to help. They were so bored that they decided to redo somebody else's Z32 interior. I think it was Abe's
Yeah.
interior. They did a great job on top of like the hotel beds, putting these seats together. And they were like, Miles, does this look right to you? And I'm like, you guys reupholster these in the rooms on the beds? And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
It was
like
bananas.
400.
Hog
It was
rings and all. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, it goes, yeah, it's crazy. It's like 400 hog rings in that thing. And I was like, yeah, I've done it
Holy
before. It
crap.
sucked. And they did it a great job. So next year, I'm taking my seats to the Otten twins. I'm buying a beer the entire weekend. They are on my list as interior guys, and they should be interior guys for the future because they did a
No
great job.
doubt.
But yeah, kudos to them for everything they do. They worked on Abe's white Z32, which came out amazing on the interior wise. So
For sure. I've got a few more here. Of course, you did mention Abe, awesome guy, dude. He threw the keys to his GTR. He let us drive his GTR to the photo shoot. How cool is that, man?
His
R32 GTR.
And it was an amazing experience. I let Mike drive just in case we wrecked it, so it'd be on him.
Is that why now? Okay, I thought you were just being nice. Yeah.
No. Thankfully, we actually babied it. We drove it like kitten, anything that's that special. So kudos to him for throwing us the car and letting us drive it over there for the experience. We took a bunch of photos, and there was tons more people we got to give a shout out.
Oh yes. Of course, we got Justin Lucas Eastman, JLE. Again, glad to hang out with you, man, and meet you for the first time this time. And great paint work. You definitely weren't lying on that one too. I hung out with Chant. Who?
Gary Savage.
Gary Savage from Braille Battery was there. He hung out a lot, just like with Casey at Nissan. We threw Gary a wrench. Here, man, go have at it. You know,
we gave Gary a job, and we gave Casey a job. Everybody was standing around. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean or turn around. We put everybody to work, so it was awesome. But
yes, a few more here, of course. Our boy Harold. Harold did a great job, man. He was always there hanging. Yes, awesome guy.
Harold was on the shake weight crew for like 2 days, so he's probably gunned up. So.
Yep, that good hour and a half to 2 hours that we spent at the car wash, I spent with Chance Goad, aka Chode. Hung out with him, got that done. Great help getting that done. Now we have a video here we'll share here at the end. This video was put together by Brad Eldred, and I definitely want to give him a shout out to Brad.
Awesome. He got some great shots because we were so busy freaking working. We were supposed to go live during this whole thing.
We were.
And we just didn't have the opportunity because we were so short on time that we had just barely enough time to take photos, but we were just working in between sitting on the pot and dying from intestinal death. We were basically just going back to the room, vomiting, using the restroom, putting water back in our system, going right back to working on an engine. He was nice enough to put everything together for us, and he threw together an amazing time lapse. And he was always checking on us too as well. I mean,
yes, he was.
Yep.
He was great. So kudos to him for doing that time lapse because it took a buttload of work, and we'll show you that as we get in a little further. More people that we want to give shout outs to, Mike?
Yes, of course. You mentioned Casey Kilmer from Nissan. We had Gary Savage from Braille. I have here, of course, Chris Carl, Z Spec crew as well. Mrs. Carl as well there. Our buddy Dennis from the Austin Club. He came out. We were cleaning. Dennis Whittakin came out. This is actually for me hanging out with John Hood from UpRev. That was a great time. He did a lot of good information. Had a good time hanging out and making friends. We had Kyle Martin there, aka Fake Josh. That was the I think our nickname, Fake Josh. Yeah,
very helpful in moral support. He actually helped out a lot. And dude, they were nice enough to bring us like iced treats that kind of kept us going because we were dying in some of that.
That was so helpful. Yeah.
And and he kept us going the whole time, and honestly, super supportive along with everybody else. So yeah, kudos to him.
We also have here, of course, you mentioned Benjamin Bagwell from Spring Roll Films. We had a good friend. We mentioned him with a 620 earlier, Curtis Lee Davey, hanging out with him.
Had great conversations with Curtis, honestly. Super wealth of information, especially in the 620 world, because we're also 620 nerds.
Wait, but he's the fellow with the 620? I never got to meet him.
Cool guy. Yeah.
Well, maybe if you weren't too busy squirting out your intestines on the person.
Man, I was orbiting his truck there like before a good evening.
Well, maybe you can go around next time and you guys can get together and have a 620 bro date. Moving on.
Last few here that I had on the list here, of course, hanging out with Arif here from the San Antonio Club. Good time hanging out with Arif. Of course, Rodell from SPL was there, definitely around hanging out with us as we were doing the work. We had Matthew Knapp. I hope I got that last name right, but lots of help, dude. This project. This what we took on, it took a village to get it done in the amount of time that we did. And again, from you guys online, if you saw the pictures, you know that this was a community effort. Everybody came in some shape or form throughout the entire 3.5-4 days that we were there doing this work. It was just really fun to see happen. So I want to say thanks to the Branson Z Fest guys. We didn't even say anything about how well organized the event was, which it was. You walk into the registration room. That's a whole story on its own. I mean, I was super impressed by Josh and the team. And great work, guys. I know you guys have the Pumpkin Spice Edition coming up pretty soon in October. And, Branson, this event here was everybody said it was laid back, and you're absolutely right. And then they keep on saying that Pumpkin Spice is even more laid back. I'm like, how could you be more laid back from what? Now I'm curious. Now it's just like, yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to make it in October as well, and this time with the Z and maybe an oil change at the most. Yeah. So maybe do some time there. So. Fingers crossed, man. What are we are 4 months away, just under 4 months away from the Pumpkin Spice Edition of Branson Z Fest. So let's try to make this maybe at least a weekend. Get maybe a 3-day. Maybe we can make a few days that weekend anyway.
Oh, there we go. Josh just posted the dates, October 6th to the 9th.
October 6th through 9th. That is the Pumpkin Spice Edition of Branson Z Fest. For those that are, if it's all right with you guys, yeah, we can kind of transition into the events here segment of the show. But I mean, yes, next Branson here is October 6th through the 9th. Josh mentioned, no registration required. There's no event cost. Just come out, cruise, and hang out. I think hotel booking the room is also just on yourself. I think if you call in and say, you have to call in specifically and just let them know you're with Branson.
I'm with DJ Josh, and then they'll let you in. But yeah, no, they'll have a booking. They'll have a bulk for you to register with, and then you can attend the event. But yeah, it's super intriguing. It blows me away that this event was so relaxed. And like, if you think this is relaxed, try coming to the Pumpkin Spice events, which is even more relaxed. So kudos to them. We'll let you know if we can make it out to that event. I will definitely give you some details about what's happening for it at the very least. But again, kudos to those guys. Had a great event. I was going to say, Mike, you want to drop the time lapse on them real quick or no?
Yes, you're right. Yes. But if this is all right with you guys, this is putting the cherry on our experience here with Branson Z Fest. Yes, let's set up this this video now. Taking from lessons learned during our last episode, I'm going to put this video on mute. There's actually a really good song that goes with it. If you want to check it out, go to our Facebook or even see Brad's personal Facebook page, and you can see it.
Anymore because Mike put us in Facebook jail previously. But
Yeah, let's not do that again.
That's not right. Exactly. So let's go ahead and again put the cherry here on the engine project work. So I'm going to press play. And let's do it.
We'll just do a quick recap, and then we'll do some. We'll do the motorsports events for the week. But yeah,
we should make our own song. No, that's not it. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So this is obviously. So is it a sandstorm? What's going? Yeah. And what you're seeing here, guys, is obviously from beginning to end. I love seeing this. Yeah.
By the way, the gaggle of folks who came out with like lighting of some variety. Thank you to everybody who
yes,
that was amazing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but very, very cool. Brad said you didn't need to do that. It's not copyrighted music, but
is it not? Yeah,
it's not. But here we are.
Better safe than sorry.
Anyway, but yeah, you can
you
see the amount of work and the amount of time that went into this. And look at Bling Tony, never leaves the damn chair. He just
there he is, man.
Yeah, it's like it's his throne or something like that.
I think he just peed in the corner. But Bling Tony on it.
That's that bottle underneath his chair. Yeah.
This is one of the last nights, man. We were swinging at it pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah. We had intake. This is the time valve covers are going in, water pump was going in. Of course, you see us bagging it up overnight to keep it protected.
I think we even had one night where, you know what's crazy also, we had to stop every night like at 10 o'clock because there was a family that was right in front of this build that was sleeping there. So we had to end it at 10 o'clock at night every night. So that was another thing that was hindering it a little bit.
It was a Curtis. Yes, we agreed. There was no.
Because we didn't want to be out there until 2 a.m. with power tools. So
right, and that's like we were really trying to enjoy ourselves as well, right? So we were trying to, wrap up at a certain point. Maybe find a circle of friends and at least spend an hour or two after all of this as well. So yes. Yeah. So what we're seeing here at the end, this is where they're putting the clutch and flywheel on. Pressure plate, Cade in there, and here we go, putting the engine in here at this point. Transmission was going in last. What really stopped us, honestly, was the torque wrench falling into pieces.
So what happened?
We broke 3 torque wrenches that week, so surprisingly weird. I don't know what happened. Maybe we just because we brought our secondhand torque wrenches, and that's what. Harbor Freight, meow. It is what it is. All right.
Of course. That is Branson, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, again, shout out to everybody. Let's go back to comments one more time. We've got some stopping here. Didn't the fan? Okay, let's see here. They were Branson ended up fourth. Brad said that video was about 4,000 photos taken, a photo every 30 seconds. That video that you just saw, which was amazing. It was really cool. Thank you for doing that. Oh yeah. Josh did say that the Pumpkin Spice Edition hotels are $70 a night. Very, very affordable.
It's so cheap.
That's cheap. It is so cheap. It is so cheap. You have no reason not to get out to Branson Z Fest, honestly.
Yeah. So. I mean, definitely, if anybody's asking for a review, it's 10 out of 10. We definitely go again for sure. And hopefully you will see us out there again. So
hit up that sandwich place up the way. They got an amazing sandwich place up the street. I forgot what it was called. Like
Veskins,
Vinigans.
That was the place that Ben recommended.
Niagara's. I don't know.
Shenanigans. No. Yeah.
No.
Venetian.
Shenanigans is what we were randomly running into.
Viagra. I don't know. Baskins.
Baskins.
Baskins, that's
Thank you,
it.
Josh.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Josh.
They got the meats. I'm telling
Yeah.
you right now, you got to go and check that place.
Yeah, that place was very tasty.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we're running a little long, 2 hours and 41 minutes. Jesus Christ. All right. So let's get into events. Let's close out the night. We'll make this fast. Upcoming events. Our next one here that we want to mention is the 35th annual Z Convention that'll be held in Birmingham, Alabama, July 25th through the 30th. It is basically less than 8 weeks away. That kind of blew me away.
It did.
I didn't realize we were that far away. But there is a
close.
whole slew of folks that are actually attending this year. We got the JDM Legends guys. I think Peter Brock is actually set to go out again here.
Yep.
I think
JDM
the
Legends,
oh my God, it's just been a long day. Guys, I just freaking missed all these people that are coming.
I know there was a post that just came out through the ZCon Facebook page that was showing
I know,
the whole list.
Going off memory, Mr. Drift. Oh my God.
Fielding Shredder.
Fielding Shredder is going to be there.
Oh, we also had Chris Forsberg, Brian Highcotter.
Brian Highcotter, who we love, and his another guy that drives for them now as well, who's amazingly accomplished driver, and I can't believe I don't know his name right now.
Here you go. Here you go. Josh is coming in.
Boom. Hit me.
Boom. Peter Brock's coming in. We've got Mr. Tamura-san hanging out with us. Chris Forsberg. We got the JDM Legends crew coming in. Brian Highcotter. Alex.
We love Alex
Yeager.
Yeah, Jagger, I think is what it is. But yeah, I think you're right.
I could be wrong.
Amazingly accomplished driver. That guy's awesome. Fielding Shredder, who's a super cool guy.
Cool guy. Very technical.
Very cool. Yes, an amazingly accomplished driver. I'll be good. Man, it stinks. I'm not going to make that this year. But Greg Ira, two-time national champion. I actually have something for him to sign. Moving on.
Yeah.
Mad Mike Taylor.
Mad Mike. Yes, sir.
So yeah, a lineup of celebrities that'll be there this year. So kudos to them for attending. So
definitely. Again, yeah, less than 8 weeks away for you guys online. If you want more information, go to zcon.org. See all the information. Definitely register. And of course, with many of these events, one of the first things you want to do, even if you're considering, is get that hotel room booked. Because if you want a place at the host hotel, which is a huge benefit for these conventions, call in, reserve at the very least. Get that going. So again, less than 8 weeks away. Start making your plans. We definitely had a great time with every ZCon is a great time. I know we just made it to the previous one here at Colorado Springs, but the one in Birmingham here should be a great time as well. Moving on, I do have one other event here for to share with you guys. This event's actually happening later in October. And we're talking about the 17th annual Z Nationals. This event is hosted by Z1 Motorsports. Actually, not very far from Birmingham either. This is actually just west of Atlanta in Carrollton, Georgia. Actually, it's in Atlanta as well because we are talking about Atlanta, Road Atlanta. Atlanta Motorsports Park at Z1 here. So this happens October 21st and 22nd. Znationals.com, which is where you can go for more details. 17th annual. These guys as well know how to put on a very, very good event. It is a track day, which is the first day. Second day is at their Z1 headquarters, which is, of course, been renovated. Huge renovation over here over the last year or so. A lot of people love it. You definitely owe it to yourself to be a part of this event as well if you haven't gone before. So we'll be definitely talking about this more as we get closer to the date for that. But that's events, yeah. Miles is giving a sign language. This has actually probably been one of our longest. Would you say this is the longest episode we've ever done?
It's the longest episode we've ever done.
We're getting into Joe Rogan territory, man. We're almost at 3 hours.
Into Lord of the Rings territory.
The extended edition.
This is the director's cut, right? Is that-
Director's cut edition of Lord of the Rings. Stop it. These people need to go home.
These
It's
people have
all-
lives. Yeah.
There's a guy who started this podcast in his garage to do a job. He finished that job.
He finished the job.
He finished a job. He's drinking the beer. He's putting it down. And
Yeah.
now these guys are still going. Jesus, I can't leave my garage until they finish. Go inside.
Ah.
Go pee. Go do your thing. This is the end of the show. We're done with it. We're finished. 2 hours, 46 minutes. No more. Frodo's thrown the ring in the mountain. We're done. We're finished.
Got it,
It's
got
over.
it.
Hey, Bling Tony, no more blinging.
No more blinging.
Yes, no more blinging, Tony.
No more
But yes,
blinging, Tony. Yes.
Again, kudos for everybody that survived with us for 2 hours and
Thank you
46
for being with us. Yes.
Good Lord. All right. And on that note, remember that to like, follow, subscribe us. Check out our pages, our Instagram pages. We are getting more social media conscious
Yes.
well. So we are trying to move in now that we've gotten the fan base that we want. We are starting to move into different social platforms. Again, continue to like, subscribe. Let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods. Again, this show does not happen without the input from yourself, you, the community. So if you have any events that are happening in your neck of the woods, anything of note, any personal any stories that we need to know about, let us know. No story too big, no story too small. This is what we're here for. We're here to support the community, and you are our community. Let us know what's going on out there. So
Absolutely. If it's okay, Miles, let's go ahead and give it out one more kanpai for you guys at home. Please join us. Whatever you have left in the tank here, let's give out a kanpai. We've enjoyed your time. Let's do it again. We'll be here again in 2 weeks as well. Click.
get in the garage, build something cool.
Mm.
I got more beer left. I'm done.
You drank all the beer. Damn.
I drank all the beer. That's it. It's 2.5 hours. Jesus.
Do you
All
blame
right.
me? Yeah.
Yeah, I do blame you. Jesus Christ. Go home. All right, that's it, guys.
There we
Thank
go.
you again for attending with us tonight. See you on episode number 51 when we talk about
51. Freaky
Whatever.
50s. Yes, it's.
Bye. Oh,
We did it.
Oh.
Man, we are on the cusp of a 3-hour show. This is probably the longest one we've ever done.
Yeah.
But not complaining. Honestly, I enjoy it. I mean, again, at least for guys like us, it didn't really feel like we
Almost
Yeah, I
that
know.
same amount of time that you were in the bathroom that one time. This is just that same amount of time that it was that one time that you had the squirts when we were at Branson Z Fest. That's weird that I would say that on live TV.
How many times have we said that word? Is it making you cringe
Squirt?
yet, Ion?
A little bit. I'm just like,
I'm gonna say you both look very thin now.
It's the squirt. This it's the of the squirt that
It's
gets
the
me.
way I say it. It rolls off my tongue. Squirt. Squirt. And you can put a little at the end of it for like salsa. Squirt.
Yeah. That's
Salsa.
where we got it. I don't know. I'm speechless.
You're dry. Your tank
I'm dry.
Is dry.
My
You're
tank is
dry.
empty.
Go home. Your intestines
no
are
more
dry.
squirts.
Tank is dry. No more squirts. You squirted yourself empty. Done. Good night.
Nice,
All
Brad.
right, guys.
Good home. Go home.
We'll see
Go
you guys.
home.
Thank you for being
Squirt.
with us. Squirt.